All right, what is up, Endgame community? I'm Pierre. He's Chris. It's week 4, and it's hard to believe. In a couple days, we're going to say we're almost. We have a 17-game schedule now this year for fantasy football, but we're almost a quarter of the way through the season. Chris, it feels like we just started.
Yeah, it always goes too fast. I'm trying to just enjoy the ride this year and not think about it, but it always does go too fast.
Definitely too fast, but you know what? There's still plenty of season left, and it seems like this is the week finally where all the injuries hit. So we're going to run through those before we talk about start sit questions. So first of all, welcome to anybody who's a new viewer. Getting a lot of those lately. First of all, we appreciate all the love and support we're getting, all the new subscribers. We just hit 500 in our Discord. That's something we never imagined, a year and a half ago. So I'll mention that if you want to join us, besides just taking part in this show here, you can join us by checking out the link below and enter our Discord, talk football and other stuff every day. All right, now we also do this, but for our patrons on Sunday mornings, it is a live start sit show 2 hours before kickoff with all the latest updates, injury news, and all that. It is a smaller setting. It's a Zoom where we just get to hang out and talk about everything related to your team, not just start sit questions. And of course, we're going to get a ton of questions right now. We're not going to get to all of them. Unfortunately, we're going to do our best. But that's a chance where you can every Sunday join us in a small group setting. So if you want to become a patron, check out that information also below. It's patreon.com/fantasyfootballendgame. And you also get weekly rankings, team audits, much more. Check that out. All right, so I did talk about all the questions we're going to get, and they're already coming in. We got some questions coming in before we even get on live, so that's just how it is these days. The best way, as you know, to get in front of the line is the super chat feature. When we see a super chat, we will get to that question first, and we'll line those up, and then we'll try to get to all the others as best we can. But again, use that super chat. We guarantee we will answer your question. We will stay on until all of the super chats are answered. All right. And last but not least, if you have not subscribed yet, maybe you're watching for the first time, it's a good time to do it. Hit subscribe, hit the notification bell. You'll know every time we go live. This year, we're on live 4 times a week. Plus, we're also giving you videos almost 2 a day, it feels like. Definitely every day. So, you'll know every time something drops. And hit the like button if you like what you heard. All right, Chris. Are you ready? I think we have to dedicate an hour just to the injury list this week.
Yeah, that's what makes fantasy football so crazy, right? It's like the injuries, things change so fast in fantasy football. So,
all right, but there are some big ones. Seriously, we're going to have to go through these. All right, so let's start with the guys who are out. Get them out of your lineup, and of course, you're going to ask us probably who do you go to instead. That's what we're here for. So let's start at running back. David Montgomery definitely out, and that means something because in the waiver wire video, the top pickup this week was Khalil Herbert after he had a massive outing last week. So if you did pick him up, you spent up on him, you're probably glad to know he is going to be the starter and pretty much going to own that backfield. So Khalil Herbert, I dare say, almost a must start. You probably would agree with that, right? Against the Giants.
Yeah, you got to start. If you got him off waivers or you had him stashed, you got to start him.
That's what you got him for. DeAndre Swift looked like he was going to break out. Now he's just broken again. He's out this week. That's almost a relief because you don't have to worry about him playing and being limited and getting 7 carries, and that's it. So if you picked up Jamal Williams, also a great waiver wire pickup, you definitely have to roll with him also against Seattle. I think that's a pretty good matchup. And oh, by the way, every other Lions player is hurt too, starting with, unfortunately, the sun god himself. Just when you made that beautiful thumbnail, I don't know if y'all saw the original version of that video when it dropped. We had Amon-Ra St. Brown as a boom this week. He was just going to go off. He was going to have a huge week, and then for some reason, middle of the week, he gets hurt. And that wasn't even an injury we knew about until later in the week, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess that's what we get for putting Sun God on our thumbnail.
I somehow blame Clapping Cheeks for this, but anyways, yeah, we were all set for him to boom. I know he had kind of an ankle thing, but we didn't think he would miss this week. Well, he's out, so get St. Brown out, and we just found out now DJ Chark also out completely, which leads us to some other pivot plays we'll talk about later. Now tomorrow morning there's an early game in London, and in that game for the Saints, no Jameis Winston and no Michael Thomas. I'm trying to hide the utter shock on my face that Michael Thomas is already missing time. But anyways, Michael Thomas not playing, and neither is his quarterback. That means Andy Dalton's the starter. Take that for what it's worth. Keenan Allen still not good to go. He's out. Hunter Renfrow, concussion protocol, still out. Maybe Matt Collins enters your lineup this week. Pretty much every Giants receiver is out other than Richie James. So, of course, Sterling Shepard out for the season. Kadarius Toney still out, just like he'll be every week this year. And Wan'Dale Robinson still not ready, but I'm holding out hope for him. AJ Green, if you are into that kind of thing, he's also out. And I think Rondell Moore is questionable, but you probably shouldn't care. Mac Jones, he was trying to pretend that he might play this week. He's not. All right, he's out. That matters more for his receivers than for him personally in fantasy. And I just have to mention that Boston Scott is out because Trey Sermon is now active on Philadelphia Eagles. Just watch him score 2 touchdowns this week. Just watch. Okay. Questionable. Christian McCaffrey. Are we doing this all over again, Chris? Christian McCaffrey is already questionable. I mean, what do you do with him at this point? Just put him in your lineup and hope for the best?
Yeah, you have to. Unless we hear that he's going to be on a significant snap count, you have to put him in your lineup and hope for the best.
So he's questionable. I mean, who knows there? Alvin Kamara, same thing, also questionable. Cordell Patterson is questionable. It sounds like he's going to play, but maybe not 100%. Hollywood Brown, also questionable. Pretty optimistic he'll play, but just keep an eye on that. Gabe Davis, this one worries me because, he wasn't 100% last week, you could tell. Again, questionable. Sounds like he'll give it a go, but he did not look right, and I don't think he is. Obviously, that's still an issue, so I'm a little worried about him, and it would have been a great matchup, too, against Baltimore. Chris Godwin and Julio Jones, both questionable. I don't see Godwin playing this game, do you?
I don't know. I've given up trying to figure out what the Bucs are doing. Chris Godwin. I almost feel like if he's healthy enough to play, they'll play him because for some reason the Bucs are so desperate to win right now, even though they shouldn't be desperate to win. So I don't know. Maybe he actually is really healthy, but I'm not sure. But
not sure. Yeah. Big game against the Chiefs. I mean, that would help them, but sure. Is he really 100%? I doubt it. I also should mention Jarvis Landry for the Saints. Also questionable. One of these teams that's just banged up all around, so look for Taysom Hill to go off on your bench. Josh Reynolds sounds like a great play for the Lions with everyone else hurt. He's also questionable, just for fun. Jacoby Myers didn't play last week. He's questionable. And Dawson Knox.
Jacoby Myers got ruled out, I think, today.
Oh, all right. Well, there you go. Jacoby Myers out. See, things keep changing here. So Jacoby Myers out. Brian Hoyer is the quarterback. Still don't play Devontae Parker. All right. And then these guys seem likely to play in is Dalvin Cook. For how long, who knows? But Dalvin Cook. Michael Gallup should make his return. Probably going to be on a pitch count, I would imagine. I mean, I don't see anybody throwing Gallup in their lineups, right?
I hope not. Not yet.
Dalton Schultz for the Cowboys. Just found out also he should be good to go. Is he 100%? We'll see, but they could use him. Justin Herbert, no injury status in case you're worried. He's going to be out there again. Didn't look great last week, but he's out there. Zach Wilson, the return of the Mac. He is back, and we'll see what that Jets offense looks like. It'll be really interesting to see how Zach Wilson does. And in case you care, Melvin Gordon is going to play. All right. I think that's it. If anything breaks during this broadcast, we'll find out. We'll let you know. But let's get to it. And we already have some super chats lined up here. You ready to get to it?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right, guys. So let's start with Team Zero Gaming. I like that. Pick 2, Deontay Metcalf and Jay Williams. We're not sure which Jay Williams. Is it Javonte or Jamal, or does it matter?
Doesn't matter to me. It's Deontay and whichever Jay Williams it is, because if it's Javonte, I love him this week. And if it's Jamal, I love him this week. And I do feel like this is a week where I'd feel okay starting Metcalf, but not over those two guys. So I'm going Deontay and whichever Jay Williams it is.
Unless it's Jameson Williams, because you're thinking, hey, all the Lions receivers are hurt.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I just saying, you never know. All right. So if it's Jamal Williams or Javonte Williams, go with Williams and Deontay. I agree. That one's pretty easy. And look, I don't hate Metcalf this week, but not over those two guys.
Not over those guys.
All right, Tommy, who wins? Okay, so we got a trade question here already. Aaron Jones, Romeo Dobbs for Swift and Samuel. Okay, so that's interesting. It's kind of tough talking about Swift. Look, Swift is out this week. Chris, the popular sentiment is that he's just going to be out until after their bye week, right? So like week 7, I think. So you got to assume you're without him for a couple of weeks. But how do you feel about trading, maybe looking ahead to the second half?
Yeah, I like this trade. I mean, like no one's going to care that Swift misses these games if he stays healthy the rest of the year and plays awesome, which I think he will. Aaron Jones is he's in a complete split with AJ Dillon. Like I just don't see how he separates and puts up a top 10, let alone a top 5 season. I do like Dobbs. I think Dobbs could have a great role in this offense. I think he could break out, but I think Samuel is good enough. So for me, I take that. I like the Swift and the Samuel side.
Yeah, I agree. Look, Dobbs looked good last week. Maybe he does become the number 1 receiver there, but still, is he going to be a number 1 receiver in fantasy?
No.
He's still going to be up and down, right? He's not necessarily going to be the next DK Metcalf or Jamar Chase or whatever. So I take the Swift and Samuel side. Look, I know you're taking a risk, assuming Swift even stays healthy in the second half. That's obviously a chance. I think it's a chance worth taking because I don't see Jones being the guy that's going to like lead you to the ship. You know what I mean? So, yeah. I know you know what I mean. You feel the same way.
Yeah.
All right, full PPR. Like, I do know what you mean. All right, full PPR Pitts or Njoku this week.
I gotta go Pitts. I mean,
yeah,
you can't give up on him. He looked good last week. And here's the other thing. The Browns, no Myles Garrett, no Jadeveon Clowney, so that pass rush is not going to be very good. And Denzel Ward is playing, so London is going to face a lot of Denzel Ward. I think this is going to be another good Pitts game. I think Pitts is going to be the guy who's going to get the better matchups, and without a big pass rush to make it tough on Mariota, I think Pitts has another nice week. So I can't start Njoku over him. I'm going Pitts.
No, I mean, if you think about it, look, was last week kind of the outlier for Pitts, or was it the first 2 weeks? Yeah. I'm going to bet it was the first 2 weeks because we were drafting Pitts as a top 3 tight end for a reason, right? Yeah. He's a stud. I mean, I'm not too worried. I think Pitts, I think we even said in our start set, I think he's now back to every week start no matter what. I don't think you really have to worry about him. Look, he's not going to go off every week, but I would definitely start him with a guy like Njoku. All right, JD, thank you, sir, for the super chat. Much appreciated. So let's get down to this. We got a 12-man team, non-PPR. All right, okay. So that matters here. We got Cousins, Dalvin, Saquon, Javonte, Etienne, Mostert. That's pretty good for a 12-team league. We got Waller, Keenan. Here's the problem, I think. Wide receiver. We're very thin at wide receiver here. We got Keenan Allen, who's out. Ayuk, Thielen. We're very Vikings heavy, too. Dobbs, Burks, and Jameson Williams, who is still not playing. So he's asking if he should trade Saquon and Kirk for Mahomes and Kupp. Really? You can get Mahomes and Kupp for those two guys? I'd do it in a heartbeat.
Kirk Cousins?
Kirk Cousins. You're going from Kirk Cousins to Pat Mahomes.
This is non-PPR. This is non-PPR. I mean, I get you're getting a significant QB upgrade, but Saquon Barkley, if you take out touchdowns from Saquon Barkley, he still has over 50 fantasy points. Well, that's in PPR. I don't know what it is in standard scoring, but like Saquon has the looks of the RB1. And I know Kupp looks great, but this is non-PPR. So, I mean, I know Cousins hasn't been fantastic, but look, Mahomes hasn't really been like lighting it up either. It's just so hard in non-PPR, really in any format, but especially in non-PPR, it's so hard for me to give up just an absolute stud running back, even for a stud wide receiver, because like those 10 catch games for Cooper Kupp or those 8 catch games, like you don't get those 10 points, you don't get those 8 points, you don't get them. So, and I know Kupp is still great, and I'm sure even like I don't play standard anywhere, so I don't even know how many points Kupp has in standard or Saquon, to be fair, because I don't play any standard leagues. I don't even look at standard league scoring. It's just hard for me in non-PPR to give up a running back like Saquon. So I don't think I do it.
Wow, man, I thought this was an easy one. All right, I'm doing this for sure because here's the thing: is Kupp, even though I get PPR, obviously he takes a little bit of a hit, right, when you take away the reception totals, but he's probably still going to want to be the number one receiver. Like, it's not going to be Jamar Chase, obviously. It's not going to be probably Devontae Adams or somebody else. Kupp still has more touchdown upside than Saquon. He's still getting as many yards, basically, as Saquon. And Saquon, a lot of his value, too, in PPR comes from catching the ball. So I'm okay doing that. But also, if you look at the makeup of this team, if he trades Saquon, he's got Dalvin Cook, assuming he actually plays, and Javonte. He's got 2 solid running backs. He's hurting at receiver. So this is a big boost to his team. So that makes it even easier for me. Like, I would do it even in a vacuum. Like, if you asked this 2 for those 2, I'd still do it. But given the makeup of your team, I think it's a big boost. And our guy Stinger. What is up, Stinger? All right, Dobbs, Njoku, or Ayuk, who to flex?
I think I'm going. Is it Dobbs or Dubs? By the way, I don't know. I think
it's Dobbs.
Okay, I'm going Dobbs. Again, I like the way he looked. I like the way they're using him. I like him this week. Ayuk, another tough matchup. I mean, he saved his day with like a touchdown, but what did he do? Like 3 catches for 30 yards last week outside of that touchdown. Like, you're really hoping for a touchdown, in a fairly tough matchup against the Rams. And Njoku, I mean, I'm not trusting a tight end in my flex. I don't think he's going to do what he did last week. So I'm going Dobbs.
No, I mean, he had a good week last week. But again, I'm not starting him over a solid receiver necessarily. I go Dobbs too. Like I said, I trust his target share at this point more than Ayuk. And it's not a great matchup for Ayuk, going against the Rams. So, look, go with Dobbs and hope for the best. I think he could deliver for you. I kind of like him this week. All right, Ron is asking half PPR, Dillon, Olave, or Sanders.
Well, this would have easily been Olave had Jameis Winston not got hurt.
That's the thing. Look, every saint is hurt, but that includes the quarterback. That's what makes it tricky with Olave. He could get a ton of targets, but it doesn't mean he's going to get a ton of catches. They have to be catchable targets.
I know. It could be like CeeDee Lamb, right? Like the first week with Cooper Rush where he had like 11 targets but only caught like 5 passes or something. Or even like DK Metcalf last week, 12 targets but only 5 catches because Geno Smith, right? Man. It's really too bad about Jameis because this would be smash Olave easy. And also have PPR. I mean, I can say I can easily eliminate Sanders. It's close between Olave and Dillon for me.
Yeah, if it was full PPR, I think that would make it easier to say Olave. I think I still lean Olave just because I think he has that big play potential. He doesn't – I mean, he's getting a ton of targets, but he doesn't necessarily need a ton of targets because he's a deep threat. Dillon is a little bit more dependent on that volume. So, and I really like the matchup for Olave too, going against.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Like I said, it should be smash Olave, right? Like great matchup, MT out, Jarvis Landry less than 100. Like it should be smash, like no doubt Olave. But Andy Dalton is the wild card here. Like we've seen Andy Dalton, like we saw what he did to the Cowboys receiving group. Like we've seen Andy Dalton the last couple of years. But I do think I still go Olave because you should see like double-digit targets in this game. Definitely has decent touchdown upside. I think I still go Olave.
I think when you have 2 kind of iffy plays like this, I'll shoot for the upside, the guy who has a better path to a big play. Trench Road, Dortch, I guess Damian Harris or Gage. Gage is an interesting one. I didn't mention him. Is he questionable right now? I think he is.
Yeah, but I'm sure he'll play. He played last week. I don't think he's had like a setback. The worry for Gage is if Godwin plays or not, right? Like,
right.
I mean, obviously he's not going to get 13. I shouldn't say obviously. He's probably not going to get 13 targets again, simply because Evans is back, and it's not like Brady's only going to throw to Russell Gage like we saw last week. But if Evans and Godwin are back, that really hurts Russell Gage to some degree. I think I go Dortch here regardless because Hollywood. Yeah, I think Hollywood will play, but he's less than 100%. Dortch has been involved. I think the Cardinals are going to have to throw the ball a lot. I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball again like they haven't been able to all season. So I think I keep rolling with Dortch.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't seem like a big deal, but Hollywood is questionable. AJ Green is out, like not going to be on the field at all. Rondell Moore looks like he's probably going to be out. I mean, they're going to need to throw it to Dortch. They really are. Damian Harris, I don't know. We hear rumblings, and again, you really shouldn't believe anything you hear out of New England. But now we're hearing maybe Ramondre is kind of earning that lead role, which we thought he would get at the beginning of the year. He looked better last week. Maybe Harris takes a little step back, and this matchup is not as good. And of course, they have a backup quarterback, so Harris, not too crazy about him this week. Gage, I know, looked great last week, and I think this could be a good game for Gage. But I feel like Dortch is actually getting a better path to targets, crazy enough. Yeah. So I go Dortch. All right, fam first. We're going to go either Bateman, McLaurin, or Olave. Let's start with that.
Another one that would have been so easy if Jameis was playing. Like, just so easy, say Olave. Like, double-digit targets, catching passes from gunslinger Jameis Winston against a not great Viking secondary. No-brainer Olave. But now you have to, like, actually think about it a little bit. And the thing that's making me lean – I love Bateman the player, but I don't love Bateman the usage we've seen. Like, he's only playing like 60 to 70% of the snaps. He's getting like 5-6 targets a game. But the one thing that's making me lean Bateman is that Bills secondary is so decimated right now, right? Like, they're rolling out guys who really have not played a lot of snaps. And I think this is going to be a high-scoring game. I mean, all the Ravens and Bills games usually are, right? So I think in this case, I'm going to shoot for the big play upside of Bateman.
This one is pretty much as close as a toss-up is can get for me.
Yeah,
you know, because I'm checking, like, you know, I put the rankings out. Our Patreons already got that update today. I have Bateman and McLaurin neck and neck. I mean, it's like wide receiver 23 and 24, I think. It's kind of a pick 'em situation. McLaurin, I mean, he looked really good last week. We thought it was going to be a tough matchup with Slay. He could definitely make a big play this week because Cowboys have a good defense. But, you know, Trevon Diggs, he's a gambler. I mean, McLaurin's always good for a potential big play. Bateman, that's, I guess, just his thing, right? That's just, they're just going to treat him like they treated Hollywood. And that Bills defense, normally you would say, no, you want to bench him. But they've actually given up some big receiving yards, you know, to Jalen Waddle and to guys so far this year, even though they look good. So it's kind of a pick 'em for me. I do have Bateman just barely higher. So I'll just agree for the sake of simplicity. Make it Bateman. All right, Sean Richardson.
Well, I think you had a tight end question too. Conklin or Smith. It was Conklin or Smith. I mean, I can easily say Conklin here. Like, this is not Conklin. A tough one for me. Conklin for sure. Even with Zach Wilson back, still going to trust Conklin.
Definitely Conklin. Sean, the super chat, thank you. And then here is his question. Flex 1, Marquise Brown, Dalvin Cook, Chris Olave, and Romeo Doubs. Just one.
I still got to go Marquise Brown. Again, talked about Olave. It's just too much uncertainty with Dalton. Dobbs, it's like, yeah, I like him, but come on. I mean, still, we've seen like one decent game from him. Unless we hear something that Marquise Brown is going to be really limited or is going to be on a snap count or he's testing it out pregame and they're not sure he's going to play, I go with him. If we hear some of that stuff, then I'll go to Dalvin Cook. But my worry about Dalvin Cook is A, he just hurt his shoulder and is at risk for re-injury, and B, it's the Saints. Like a very, very, very good defense. So I'm still going Hollywood.
Yeah, that game in London could be kind of ugly offensively. You know what I mean? So many players banged up. All right, so I agree. If Marquise Brown plays, he's almost a must start for me. You got to play him. I think he'll be okay. He's one of those guys that kind of pops up in the injury report almost every week, but doesn't usually miss time too much. So I'll go Marquise. If for some reason he doesn't play, I don't know. I guess take the chance on Cook. Don't love it, but. All right, Henry Odom, regular member. Thank you, Henry. So he traded Adams and Najee for Swift and Fournette. What do you think about that? I don't know if I would do that.
I mean, well, let's see. He's got Sutton, St. Brown, Pittman, Cooks. I mean, he's okay at wide receiver, but Javonte, Dillon, Stevenson, Pierce. I mean, I'm not going to say you made a mistake. I think he probably like gave up a little too much though. I'm not. I mean, I don't know if it's going to be a mistake. It's going to really come down to like Najee and Fournette, right? Like, does Najee become what we thought he was going to be, and does Fournette ever become what he should be, getting the amount of work he's getting, right? That's what's going to come down to. But I probably don't make this trade because you're giving up a stud wide receiver and what should be a stud running back for a stud running back and what I would consider more like a very good running back in Fournette. So I'm not going to say it's a big mistake, but I think you overpaid.
A little bit, yeah, I agree. And that's the thing a lot of this comes down to Swift, right? Is he going to be a breakout star or is he going to be on the bench, right? Just injured all year. You don't know. So I wouldn't give up on Najee yet. That's the thing. And Fournette, like Chris, you've been saying, you kind of had that gut feeling he's going to start seeding some of those carries and those touches, down the stretch. So I think you'll be fine because look, you have 3 really good receivers that you can start every week. Obviously, in Pittman, Sun God when he plays, and Sutton. But man, we'll see. We'll see if Swift comes back, and we'll see if Fournette is a stud. So it's not a bad deal, but I probably wouldn't have done that either. But it's not a bad deal, not a mistake. All right, Jan says, half PPR for my flex, so I play Garrett Wilson, Penny, Dobbins, or Ayuk.
Well, I think those guys out. I think we're both eliminating Dobbins. For me, this is pretty easily Penny, especially in half PPR. I don't know if you guys saw the Boom video. I have him on there. Last week, almost 70% of the snaps, got pretty much all the carries. Lions are awful against the run, and they've actually been pretty good. Like we saw it against Minnesota. They've been pretty okay against the pass. They're kind of a team that you can run on easier than throw on, not that they're elite against pass. So I think it's going to be a big Penny weekend, especially in half PPR. That doesn't hurt him as much as in full PPR because he's not going to catch a bunch of passes. So I'm going Penny.
Yeah, I think so. And here's the thing, too, with talking about Penny going against Detroit. Detroit's missing all of their players on offense. There could be a very good chance Seattle gets the ball in their possession, has, if not positive game script, at least neutral. So we could see Seattle able to run the ball more. That's just another thing working in their favor, right? With Detroit probably not putting up as many points as they have been these first couple of weeks. Dobbins, I get it. Everyone's all excited about him. He's going to still be limited in terms of his touches. All right. He's touchdown dependent. That's what he is. He doesn't catch passes too, by the way. He never has and probably never will. Ayuk is just a risky boom play. Garrett Wilson, I know it's tempting, but remember, Zach Wilson's in there. We haven't seen it. We haven't seen Zach Wilson throwing to Garrett Wilson. It's been Joe Flacco. So I would give that some time. So Penny, I think, is a smart play there too. All right. So we have, and I'll have to check here, the Paisan. So thank you for the super chat. I'm looking. Chris, if you see it, tell me if there's a question attached to this. We will throw it up there. If not,
right, I'll find it.
And in the meanwhile, a little bit of filler time. Bus has to throw his Jets propaganda out there. Let's go, Zach Wilson. What's up, Bus? All right, Joe Castles. Cam Akers. Love the Cam Akers questions, guys. Keep the Cam Akers questions coming. Akers has a tough matchup against San Francisco. Think about rolling with McKissick. Nah, come on. Look, you got to go Akers over McKissick, right?
Yeah, at least Akers is getting touches. He's getting chances to score. McKissick is one of those guys you only want to play when you feel really, really good that the Commanders are going to be getting absolutely run off the field. So, and even then, he's still a little bit of a risk. So, yeah. And I found I'm still going Akers. And then I found, I don't know how you pronounce it, the base on here's his question.
That's a fair question. Russ Wilson has done nothing in the first couple of games. Trevor Lawrence looked really good last week. We did talk about Trevor Lawrence, in our last video. We did a kind of factor fluke thing. So what do you think, Chris? What are you going this week?
Well, again, if you watch our boom video, I think I had Russell Wilson as a must start in the start video, and I had him as a boom in the boom video. I know I'm putting my neck on the line for Russell Wilson here. I'm sure everybody will let me hear about it next week if Russell Wilson bombs again. But the Raiders, that secondary is so banged up that I gotta have faith in Russell Wilson for at least one more week. Trevor Lawrence has a tough matchup this week, and it's not okay. I know last week he had 3 touchdowns, but look at the weeks before. It's not like Trevor Lawrence is throwing for 300 plus yards and it's not like he's destroying fantasy football right now. he's been good in real life. Like he's been great in real life, but he's not like putting up huge fantasy games other than last week when he threw three touchdowns. So to me, it's not like Trevor Lawrence is like, like, oh my God, he's like been so amazing. I'm still gonna trust Russ. One more week.
I'm going to trust Russ too. I think things can only get better, but especially this week, that Raiders defense is one of the worst, especially the pass defense, bottom 5 in terms of fantasy points allowed. As far as Lawrence, I'm just saying I don't fully buy in. I think he'll have his moments, but this is a guy, one thing I really thought he would bring to the table is scrambling ability, running, and he's a big, tall guy. He's athletic. That's something he could do. And he took off a lot when he was at Clemson. He's not running at all in this offense. No rushing yards. And when they get near the goal line, they're giving it to James Robinson a lot. Sometimes they'll throw it, but he's not calling his own number ever, or at least I guess Doug Peterson isn't calling his number ever. And so you take that out and the fact that they're probably going to opt to run first. So he's going to have more, I think, disappointing weeks than anything. But this week, I got to go Russ. All right, Phil wants to know, he's saying he has to play both Curtis Samuel and Terry McLaurin, or should he sub Noah Brown for one? Noah Brown, interesting, because, again, Gallup are going to play, but how much? And Dalton Schultz will play. How much? What do you think?
Yeah, that does. I mean, both those things make me a little bit lower on Noah Brown because Schultz, I feel pretty good, will probably play a significant amount of snaps. Now, how healthy he looks with coming off that PCL injury, we'll see. Gallup, sure, he may be somewhat limited, but just the fact that the two of them will be out there may hurt Noah Brown a little bit. I can't start Noah Brown. I know it's always tough to have like 2 wide receivers from the same team because if that passing offense is terrible, which with Carson Wentz it could be, it's very frightening. But I can't start Noah Brown over either of those guys, so I'm sticking with Samuel McLaurin.
Oh, that's a fair question because it's tempting with Noah Brown because he's going against the Commanders, who are also one of the worst pass defenses, or just worst defenses in the league. So I get that. He's getting targeted, but I don't think he has more upside than either of those players. So I think it's okay going with Samuel McLaurin. And then for the last flex, Dillon or Singletary?
I'm going Dillon. I'm not chasing that Singletary game from last week. 11 targets, 9 catches. I think that was like the most he's ever had in an entire, like more than he had last season. I don't know, probably not, but it felt like more than he had the whole last season. And look, James Cook is starting to get more involved in the passing downs. We saw that even last week. So I'm still going Dillon.
That's exactly right. And the thing with Singletary, look, this is not just him. It's not like he had a big game. This is Ken Dorsey, right? Guy that you saw throwing the iPad at the end of the game. He's calling the shots. Remember, Brian Daboll is now head coach for the Giants. Ken Dorsey's calling the shots, different philosophy. He's making passes to the running back a staple of this offense. It wasn't just a thing. It's a trend now. At first week 1, didn't Zach Moss have like 6 catches or something?
Yeah.
Okay. He doesn't care who was back there, but why did they draft James Cook? To fill that role. And James Cook has been a little bit involved. I think that we see him get more involved week by week. This is why you need to buy low or at least hold on James Cook. But yeah, Singletary, I'm not necessarily going with him unless you really don't have anybody better. So I like Dillon. At least he has better touchdown upside. Stinger is back for more. Stinger is asking which side, Ertz, Ryan, and Ayuk, or Carr, Conklin, and Corey Davis?
Definitely the Ertz, Ryan, Ayuk side for me. I mean,
yeah,
I definitely prefer Carr over Ryan, but okay, but you're getting what I think will be the better tight end and definitely the better wide receiver. So Ertz, Ryan, and Ayuk for me.
Yeah, I mean, I like Carr this year, but it's not a huge drop to Ryan. I think Ryan will be fine long term. Corey Davis, like he's
like borderline obsolete, right?
Yeah,
in fantasy. Don't come at me.
Once in a while he'll show up, but that's
he'll catch like one big pass every couple weeks or something, and people will snatch him off the waiver wire, put him in their lineup, and wonder what happened.
Yeah, exactly. And Conklin's getting targets. Like, look, but so is Ertz, and Ertz is going to be more important to that offense, and Ertz, is going to have that role all year. So yeah, I go with the first side. All right, still doing the super chats, but I do have to throw this up there. Sometimes things catch my eye. Cubanito Abreu, I'm part Cuban, so shout out to Maybe a follow Cuban. I don't know. All right, so flex, pick one: Lazard, McKenzie, or Ayuk. We get a lot of Ayuk questions today.
Yeah, we do get a lot of IU questions. This one's actually tough. I think I'm gonna go McKenzie, simply because, like what you said in the beginning about Gabe Davis, I don't feel good about Gabe Davis right now with that ankle. I don't feel like he's 100%. And we saw it last game where McKenzie got more involved, even though Davis was on the field. McKenzie was pretty involved. Because again, I don't think Davis is 100%. And I think this is going to be a high-scoring game, like on both sides. So I'm going to go McKenzie.
And the thing, look, I've gotten a little bit more worried about Gabe Davis, which makes me a little more confident in Isaiah McKenzie. It's a great matchup, right? Going against Baltimore. I mean, what else could you ask for? So McKenzie, I feel really good about. Lazard is a guy who will get a touchdown and a handful of yards. He's gotten a couple of touchdowns. I feel like this week he doesn't. Full PPR. Give me the guy who's getting the targets. It's McKenzie.
Yeah, agree.
All right, FBA 7B1. I guess we have some sort of a bot on here. Okay, 3-0.
Super chat bot.
Congrats. Are we flexing Gabe? We just talked about Devontae Smith or Curtis Samuel.
I can easily go Devonta Smith here. Again, I like Curtis Samuel, but he is what he is. Gabe, less than 100%. Devonta Smith, another great matchup this week. This Eagles offense is rolling. I have to find reasons not to have Devonta Smith in my lineup this week. So definitely Smith for me.
Definitely Smith. I mean, you've seen how involved he is.
Yeah.
Davis, like I said, if you have guys who are just as strong of options, don't take the chance. You don't need to worry about Gabe Davis this week. And then Samuel, he's always flex worthy. But Devontae Smith, is almost locked in as a weekly wide receiver too at this point. I mean, no reason to worry about Devontae Smith. Okay, Praxis Fire wants to know, half PPR, Brandon Cooks, DK, or Ramondre Stevenson or CMC?
Well, like I said in the beginning, if CMC plays, you have to play CMC. You just have to play them. Unless we hear something like he's going to be on an extremely limited snap count or anything like that. Like, because sometimes you'll hear these reports like, they're going to monitor his snaps, and then he plays like 75% of the snaps, and you're like, why didn't I play CMC? What am I thinking? Now, I'm going to assume that you're looking at these other guys only if CMC is out, because that's how is that how you're reading this as well? Like the other guys only if CMC is out? Is that how you're reading this?
I mean, I see them all or I'm assuming he's just asking like, who do I pick if CMC doesn't play?
Okay.
That's why.
I'm gonna. This might sound crazy, but it's gonna be close for me between DK and Stevenson. I know I haven't been big on DK at all this year, but he does have another really good matchup. But it is half PPR, which, I mean, that doesn't really affect DK too much because he's not like a huge catch guy in this offense. But I think I'll still go slightly Stevenson. Well, I don't. This is tough because it's like the Patriots don't have a great matchup as far as the running backs go, and Brian Hoyer. I mean, who knows what the offense is going to look like with Brian Hoyer? It could be really, really bad. You know what? Actually, I just talked myself off of Stevenson. I'm going DK this week. It might be the one time I pick DK all year, so I'm going DK.
I kind of liked DK last week. I'm a little less crazy about him this week, but I still think he's a good start. I think I would go DK if CMC's out. Stevenson, I think, will get a lot of touches because if Brian Hoyer's starting, they're going to try to run the ball as much as they can, right? But it's not great. A great matchup for them. Could be negative game script. Brandon Cooks really should be getting better. I think he will at some point. Like positive regression is in store, but maybe not this week. So this week, I go DK.
The tough thing for Brandon Cooks this week is J.C. Jackson is back, and he has no injury designation, which means he's fully healthy. So we haven't really seen. I don't even know if we've seen a healthy J.C. Jackson yet this year. So he's going to get a lot of J.C. Jackson. That's scary. So I'm going to go DK.
Yeah. I agree with that. All right. Dr. Blacks. Lamb or Deontay?
Look, I love Deontay, but I can't sit Lamb this week against the Commanders. Just an atrocious defense. I got to go with Lamb.
Yeah, Lamb working his way back to must start. I mean, it's hard to say that with Brush there, but he's still getting a ton of targets. Um, the matchup makes him pretty much a no-brainer at this point. So I think Deontay's fine, but Lamb, yeah, you got to keep Lamb locked in there for sure. All right, Lil Isaiah, and his question is down here. Gabe Davis or Deontay Johnson?
Well, now I'll go Deontay because, again, I like Deontay a lot this week. And Gabe, like I said, I don't feel like he's 100%. I don't want to take a chance. I'll just go with Deontay.
Yeah. I mean, that like just what we said, Gabe Davis is fine if you don't have somebody who's a more solid option. Deontay is a more solid option. You know that I know the Steelers offense hasn't looked great, but he's getting his targets. He's got a floor, at least he's solid. Gabe Davis, without a touchdown, he could leave you kind of hanging. So yeah, I don't feel like Gabe Davis is 100%. I think you're going to go Deontay in this case. Matty Iceman. All right. Pick 2, Olave, Jamal Williams, Kamara, and Herbert.
Call me crazy, but I'm going with the 2 backups, Jamal and Herbert. Both in great spots this week. Both should get a ton of work. That's where I'm going.
I agree. Well, here's the thing. Kamara's questionable, and which means, all right, let's say maybe he does play, but not 100%. Backup quarterback. There's a lot of ifs there. There's no question Jamal Williams is the guy who's going to own that backfield, and all those receivers are hurt. They're number 1 receiver. They're number 2 receiver, all right? Jamal Williams will get a ton of touches. Give me that. And then also Herbert, same thing. He's the guy. He's the only guy. They're not going to pass the ball. Herbert could legit get 25 carries. So, I mean, to me, yeah, exactly. I just avoid the whole Saints thing and just go with those 2 guys. All right, Robert Coleman wants to know Mike Williams or Drake London.
Man, this one's actually tough. Like, Drake London has looked so good. It's so hard for me. I know Mike Williams hasn't been good 2 out of the 3 weeks, but it's so hard for me to bench him. And like I said, Drake London probably going to get a lot of Denzel Ward this week. So, this might be the toughest question we've had so far for me. Like, I probably have these guys I'd probably have these guys very close. I mean, it should be Mike Williams with Keenan out again. Herbert hopefully more healthy. The defense better this week, although not having Bosa definitely hurts. I'm gonna go Mike Williams, but man, it is like razor close.
Same thing, kind of like I talked about earlier with Bateman McLaurin. It's one of those. It's almost flip a coin, but I'm going to make it easy on you, Robert. I'm going to say Mike Williams also. That's where I'm leaning. Like Keenan Allen is still out. Herbert should be a little better, a little sharper this week. They might not be playing from behind. You would hope they won't be this week. You never know, right? Didn't think they would be last week, but look, that secondary they're going against is pretty vulnerable. So I'm going to go Mike Williams and hope for better things. I think he'll be fine. He's going to get the targets. London is a solid play. Nothing at all. Again, I can't say anything about him that would, sway you against him, but I think Williams just has a little more upside. All right, William, A-Rod or Carr at quarterback, and then Freiermuth/Fryer Goat or Everett. So let's start with quarterback, Rodgers or Carr?
I'm probably not going to get this answer very much this year. Well, I think I'm going to go Rodgers. I just Carr against the Broncos. Oh man, that is tough. I know the Raiders are throwing the ball a ton, but I don't like. Are the Broncos? Even though I like Russ this week, are they going to put up so many points that like the Raiders are going to be down 2 or 3 scores and just be in like comeback throw mode? Probably not. Probably not. So I'm gonna go Rodgers, and then this one's also close. Jeez, these are close. I think I'm gonna roll with Everett again, even though I do like Freiermuth. It is a good matchup, but Everett with Keenan Allen out, I think that's another good spot for him against the Texans. I'm gonna go Rodgers and Everett, but both are pretty close.
Yeah, these are both tough. I really hate to say I don't love either quarterback this week. I don't want to roll out with Carr just because, like I said, that Denver, not only the Denver defense is pretty good, but yeah, this just could be a low scoring game.
Yeah.
But I still think I feel better about his volume because that Raiders defense is bad enough. They could actually give up points. I mean, you think about it, Chris, if you love Russ Wilson this week, you're thinking they're going to score some points, right?
Yeah, but I mean,
And I love Javonte Williams this week. I do. I feel like it'll be better. In Carr, look, that team, they're living, dying by the pass, right? I think they're going to still give Carr plenty of chances. I can't get excited about Aaron Rodgers at all this year. I mean, like his number one receiver is Romeo Doubs, the guy they drafted and was fourth round. And he doesn't have a great matchup either. He might not throw the ball a ton. So I'm going to go Carr, and then I'll lean Everett too. Like you mentioned, as long as Keenan Allen is out. Freiermuth is fine, but I'll slightly lean Everett. All right, Kyle Groh wants to know, start 2, Dylan, Wilson, Pollard.
Oh, man. I think you guys got some tough ones tonight for sure. I think I got to go Dylan. Wilson in a tough spot against, but I know I say like I want to get as many guys against the Commanders as possible, right? My issue with Pollard though is neither of these running backs are catching passes. Like we think in our head like Pollard's a pass catching back, but they're not catching any passes with Cooper Rush. They just aren't. He's not throwing to the running backs. Like what did they each have 1 catch last week? Like he's not. Pollard isn't catching a bunch of passes. So like if Pollard was catching 4 or 5 passes with Cooper Rush, I'd be like probably say him for sure. Because it is the Commanders. But what are we looking at with Pollard? Maybe like 9 carries. I don't know. Maybe a catch or 2. I mean, maybe this is the week where he catches a bunch of passes. Probably not. Because, again, it's the Commanders. They're probably not going to be playing from behind. So they're not going to need to throw it a ton. So I'm going to go Dylan. But it's really close between him and Pollard. It's really close.
Yeah, I think for me, it's Dylan and Pollard. Again, I'm not ever going to get crazy about Wilson. Not a good matchup. Yeah. He doesn't catch passes. He's touchdown dependent. Pollard not catching. You're right. Pollard wasn't catching any passes at all last week, but it didn't matter. He was busy running for 100 yards and a touchdown, I think. I mean, and he's got an even better matchup. I'm feeling pretty good about Pollard, especially with that defense. And then Dylan is going to be solid. Maybe not have a huge game, but he's always got a decent floor. So I'll go Dylan and Pollard.
Oh, start 2? Oh, I missed it. It was start 2. That was an easy question then, just to get rid of Jeff Wilson. I made that way too hard. Yeah, Dylan and Pollard. Yeah, sorry, I missed start 2.
All right, our first celebrity cameo.
Whoa.
It's a big one.
That's a big one.
All right. So we got to get this one right. We got to nail it. Wait a minute. This is the same question we had before, isn't it?
Yeah, we did this one. We said CMC or, if not, DK.
All right. Well, I mean, if you were really all-knowing, you would have seen that. But
yeah.
Okay. Tell me if you see this. So Ryraps gave us a super chat. If you can find his question, if he's got a question somewhere, we'll throw that up there. Thank you, though. Let's actually take a second right now to just mention that. By the way, guys, we're trying to get to as many questions as possible. I know some people saying you didn't answer yet, especially when you throw that super chat down. We got a lot of super chats lined up here. We're trying to go in order that they were asked, so you don't have to wait around too long. I think we're only about 15 minutes behind, so that's pretty good. All right, so let's get to the next one. Andrew wants to know Josh Reynolds or Devin Duvernay. And Reynolds, look, he's a little – actually, you know what? Did I mention him? He's also questionable. But I think he plays. And, look, he's now the number 1 receiver for Detroit. So where do you go?
Yeah, got to go with Reynolds. I mean, there's going to be a game here probably this week where Duvernay doesn't score a touchdown finally. And then he's going to give you nothing. So Reynolds should have a good target share this week. I got to go Reynolds.
Yeah, I got to go Reynolds. I mean, again, Buffalo, I get that Micah Hyde's out and their secondary is banged up, but still, Reynolds could actually get a ton of targets. Like he was, I think, 6 for 96 last week. And that was with St. Brown and Chark on the field, and technically sort of Swift. So, yeah, definitely Reynolds.
And I found Ryraps. Here it is.
Okay, so throwing down the whole roster, thoughts, advice. You're good at quarterback. That's my first thought. You're fine at tight end. Uh, I mean, your running backs are fine. Obviously, you got some injuries. Once Montgomery's there, I think you're okay. I think I'm worried about your depth at receiver, though.
Yeah, definitely worried about your wide receivers. I mean, even when Keenan comes back, like, yeah, you got Evans and Keenan, but after that, you just got some guys. Even though I like Samuel and I like Ayuk, they're not like studs in fantasy. Looking at your roster, see, the thing is, like, we don't know how long Montgomery's going to be out for. I like Hunt this week against Atlanta, so I'm looking at your roster. Like, if Hunt does something this week against Atlanta, if Jamal looks awesome this week, I might try to package those guys and get a stud wide receiver. Like, find a team who needs a running back really badly. Offer them, maybe go to the Swift team, offer him Jamal Williams and get a good receiver in return. Maybe package, maybe throw in Curtis Samuel or Ayuk if Ayuk catches a touchdown again, and get a really good wide receiver. That's what I would be looking to do.
So looking at running back, okay, this might sound a little extreme, but I might try to trade Eckler to get a stud wide receiver.
See, I was going to say that, but the problem is you might be rolling with because what if Montgomery's out for 3 or 4 more weeks and Swift comes back?
I don't think. I mean, I could be wrong in this. I don't think Montgomery's supposed to miss more than like a week. I think he'll be back. Who knows? But realistically, you go the next 2 weeks for sure. You got Jamal Williams, and then you can put Hunt in also. And then you got Breece Hall. By the time Jamal Williams isn't starting, Breece Hall should be startable pretty much on a weekly basis. You got Montgomery, you got Hunt. You can swap those guys out. You really need to kind of shore up that wide receiver, get that anchor there. I mean, it's better to have a sure thing there. If you can trade Eckler for a guy like Pittman or something, I don't know if somebody will do that, but I would. All right, Blue Crew. Pick one: Curtis Samuel, Bateman, Pollard, or Ayuk.
Half PPR. I think I still got to go Bateman. Pollard is interesting because of the half PPR, but Bateman against this banged up Baltimore secondary in a game that should feature a ton of scoring. I think he has real big play potential this week. I'm going to go Bateman.
Yep, that's what I was thinking. I got Bateman first. Pollard is interesting, but I have him second. I go Bateman first. Look, obviously you're hoping for that big play, right? That's how he's going to be. He does have a good chance to hit on it or get a touchdown. We're not guaranteeing it, right? No promises here, but I would take the chance with Bateman. Joseph, always loyal member of the in-game community. Man, late again. You're good. Man, you're good. Don't worry. We'll probably see you tomorrow morning too. Doing well. So you got Connor, Herbert in the flex, Hunt on the bench. Okay, so this is interesting. That's exactly what I was thinking. I'd put Hunt over Connor. I know I have Hunt ranked over Connor. You probably did the same, right?
Me too. This is a great spot for the Browns running game this week. People give up on Hunt because he didn't score last week. Like, really, you're going to give up on a guy who got like 3 goal line carries and just didn't get in the end zone? Like, in this matchup, this is a blow-up spot. This is a blow-up spot for both Chubb and Hunt. I just put Hunt over Connor. That Cardinals, they can't run the ball. Like, yeah, maybe he falls into the end zone, but that's really all you're hoping for with Connor. So I'll take my chances with Hunt.
And it's interesting. I get he hasn't been 100%, but Connor hasn't looked great this year. Not nearly as good as last year. Maybe because he's banged up. Maybe the play calling. I don't know.
Maybe because he wasn't good last year and he got saved by 18 touchdowns and people didn't want to admit it. I mean, the guy only averaged 3.7 yards per carry last year. He wasn't good.
That's true. It was a lot of volume, and there you can't just sit and count on the running game where you're always losing because your defense sucks. So that's part of it. But yeah, I'm a little down on Connor. He should be doing better. But we also, guys, if you're in the Discord, you get little things like this. Somebody posted a very interesting chart that they found, something about run play win rate for offensive line. Arizona was like number 2. Like their running game should be doing really good, and it's not. So it's not the offensive line's fault. In other words, I blame Cliff Kingsbury, but that's just me. All right, Curran, Salvati. Okay, so we got Higbee or Ertz this week.
Definitely hurts for me, especially if Hollywood may be less than 100%. We know he's going to get a ton of targets. Definitely hurts.
Yeah, that's true. Look, looks like he could be startable every week, but I wouldn't put him over Ertz. So for sure, Ertz, and then bench 2 running backs. Okay, so Kamara and Patterson both questionable, but let's assume they do play.
This is tough. I think I can honestly, the easiest one I can bench here is Kamara. Like, that's the one I feel pretty good about benching. Man, Patterson is in such a great spot this week with Garrett. I mean, I know on paper, like you say, Browns is a tough matchup, but no Myles Garrett, no Jadeveon Clowney. I think they're going to be fine running the ball. Herbert, I think, is like almost a must start this week.
Yeah.
For me. Like, I can't bench Herbert. So for me, it's between Robinson and Patterson. It's so close between those guys. Like, I probably have to give the slight edge to Robinson, but man, it's really close. Like, I could see Patterson outscoring him. So I'm gonna go I'm gonna say bench Kamara and Patterson. But
I mean, it's safer to bench the guys who are banged up, right? I mean,
true.
Yeah, I mean, there's worries about Kamara. We've seen he can easily bust and do nothing for you when he plays. So, I mean, yeah, Herbert is almost a must start. I think you have to just keep Herbert in there. I guess we'll assume this is PPR, but still, even though he doesn't catch passes, I don't think it really matters because if you can rip off 100 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah.
So start Herbert. I don't love James Robinson this week. I don't know if I would put Cordero. I want to put Cordero over him. I think if he's a full go, I might put Cordero over James Robinson.
I mean,
but
it's super close for me between those two guys. So you know what? Let's just make it easy for Curran and say Patterson and Herbert, assuming Patterson. I think Patterson's going to play. Like, they did this last week too. He practiced Friday. He played. He was fine. He looked fine. Looked great. So let's just go Patterson and Herbert. That way it's easy for him because it is like between him and Robinson is so close to me. I could go either way. I could see it going either way. So let's make it easy on him and go Patterson and Herbert. There you go.
Right. Those are the guys we would start. So bench.
Yes, those are the guys we would start. We'd bench Kamara and Robinson. And then lastly, CD or Sutton. I mean, I love Sutton. I've got Russ as a boom. But I can't bench CD against the Commanders. I can't do it. They're so bad. They're so bad on defense. And he's even with Cooper Rush. Like, look what he did last week. He's playing well with Cooper Rush. He's getting targets. Rush actually looks halfway decent. I still got to go CD.
Yeah, I think you have to keep CD in there. Look, Sutton's getting targeted a bunch, but Judy should be a little closer to full health. You know, he's in there. I mean, it's a great spot for both these guys, really. Yeah, I mean, it
really is.
I hate that you have to pick between them. I mean, I'm guessing you have a much better receiver in your slot, so I don't know. But all right, Christopher Caldwell. You got Thielen, Bateman, Dobbs, Palmer, wide receiver slot 2. I guess we're picking 2 of those guys. Is that it? Or are we picking one guy for your second receiver slot?
Palmer, interesting again this week with the Keenan out. We've seen him. He's 2 nice games without Keenan so far. If we're picking 1, it's Bateman for me. If we're picking 2, I'm probably going to go, man. I think I got to go Palmer slightly over Dobbs just because of the matchup against the Texans. And what did he get? Had like 9 targets last week with Keenan out. Yeah. So I think if it's, I think I'm going to go Bateman and Palmer if it's 2. Bateman if it's 1, Palmer and Bateman if it's 2.
I'm with you exactly there. Bateman to me is the number 1 guy here. It is close between Dobbs and Palmer. Both have upside. The matchup is better for Palmer, and that's the thing. He's getting a better target share here so far. We don't know. We'll see what Dobbs does. I mean, maybe he takes a step forward as well, but it is a tougher matchup. I don't feel like that's going to be a high-scoring game against New England, so yeah, I go Palmer. Chris, you're concerned at all? I know you love Matt Harmon, reception perception. He doesn't love Josh Palmer. Does that worry you?
I mean, it probably worries me like if I had him in Dynasty or long-term, but we've seen it in the 2 games without Keenan Allen. I mean, how many targets did he have the other game? He had a bunch of targets in that game, like 10 or something. Like, yeah, maybe he doesn't get great separation and maybe he's not some great wide receiver, but if you're getting that kind of volume and you're catching passes from Justin Herbert and you're going up against the Texans defense, I'm putting that in my lineup. I don't care if he's not the best wide receiver because he'll get by on volume alone.
That's exactly right. And here's the thing, guys. We say this all the time. It's opportunity. Because chase targets for receivers, chase touches for running back, because talent, yeah, that usually determines who gets those opportunities. But realistically, even though a guy has these great, peripheral stats and this elite talent, it's all about who's productive, right? If a guy's maybe not all the best, the most efficient, the most effective, if he's getting the targets and the touches, he's going to get more fantasy points. Like, that's the end of the story. All right, J-Rob or Herbert, running back. If it's Khalil Herbert, you got to start Khalil Herbert.
Yeah, I just said Herbert basically a must start this week, so got to bench J-Rob there.
I think that's asking about the Vikings defense with the Saints injury list. I still don't love the Vikings defense, but like, who's your other option?
I actually do. I'm playing the Vikings this week. I only play in 2 leagues with defenses. Thank goodness. It's so annoying. But we pivoted to the Vikings because, look, Andy Dalton, he'll turn the ball over. I'm not scared about the Saints putting up points. He'll get sacked. Maybe they don't have like a huge ceiling this week, but I think they have a really high floor. So I think the Vikings are fine.
Yeah, if nothing else, Dalton will take some sacks. And look, that Saints offensive line has not looked great, but yeah, they are a pretty solid pick. I should probably move them up. All right, Samer is asking Dortch, Thielen, or Mac Hollins. Man, this one is tough.
Yeah, I'm gonna say no to Thielen. It's just, I mean, I know it could be a game like last week where Marshawn Lattimore maybe shuts down Jefferson, but the Saints secondary is deeper than the Lions secondary. Like, right, the other Lions corners aren't very good. It's close for me between Hollins and Dortch. So I think the only reason I'm gonna go Dortch is just because it's the Broncos. And I know Surtain is probably going to spend most of the game on Adams, which helps Hollins. But this is still a really good defense and a really good secondary. It's not like the rest of the guys are, scraps. They're still really good. So I'm going to give slight edge to George. For that.
Agreed. I'm going to give the slight edge to George. I feel like Thielen should be startable. Like, you really should be starting him more often. But, I mean, at this point, he's just not drawing enough targets. Because even when Jefferson is let down, it was KJ Osborne who stepped up last week, not really Thielen. Thielen did okay, but I think we both like Dortch this week.
Yeah.
All right, Briggs wants to know at running back 2, Sanders or Damian Harris, and then I guess Dylan or Wilson. I guess we'll just pick between those 2.
I'll easily say Dylan. That one's easy for me. I can easily start Dylan over Wilson. This one's a little tougher. Like, I want to say Harris. Like, it should be Harris. But I'm worried about Ramondre coming on more. I'm worried about the matchup. But it's Miles Sanders. Like, you got to be worried about everything with Miles Sanders. Like, I thought, like, okay, last week he's going to smash, and he didn't. I'll probably still go Damian Harris, but that one's a little closer for me.
Yeah, I want to say Damian Harris, but, I mean, it's hard for me to kind of trust Miles Sanders in my lineup at any point unless it's a smash spot. It's not a smash spot. The Jags are not giving up a lot to running backs in general. I mean,
last week was the smash spot. It was the Commanders. It was super positive game script. Like, everything was there. He had 15 carries against a terrible defense, and he did like nothing.
Yeah.
So
I'm not going to pick Sanders, so I got to go Damian Harris. I don't love him, and then definitely Dylan.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess this is for a flex. Would you go Njoku over Singletary?
I can't do it. I can't. I'm not going to chase Njoku's big game last week and think now Njoku is going to get 8 catches every week and 70, 80 yards and a touchdown. I'm not doing that. I'd rather have a running back who's still the starting running back in a great offense. I'm going to take Singletary.
Would it sway you if I told you that not only going against Atlanta, but the fact that the Falcons so far have given up the second most fantasy points to tight ends?
I mean, I get it. Like, no, that's a great matchup, and I like Njoku this week, and I'm starting him in one league, and I feel good about it. But the thing about tight ends is like it could just be an Amari Cooper week, right? It could just be like some huge, and it could be Chubb, Hunt, and Cooper get all the touchdowns.
Hunt week.
Yeah, it could be Hunt, Chubb, and Cooper get all the touchdowns, and Njoku catches 5 passes for 50 yards and gets you 10 points, which is fine. But I think Singletary can do that. So I still got to go with the running back here. I got to go with the running back.
Yeah, it's tempting to go Njoku, but like I said, I'm almost never going to go with a tight end as a flex play. So, I'll say Singletary too. All right, watermelon, Kamara or Patterson.
I mean, this is something I didn't like. Look, I was not high on Kamara this year. Don't have him anywhere. But I was really, really, really out on Patterson this year. Like, I was not drafting Patterson anywhere. But here I am in week 4, and I'm going to tell you to start Cordero Patterson over Kamara because, yeah, it's not the worst matchup for Kamara, but he's not. I mean, maybe with Dalton, maybe who knows? Maybe Dalton will dump it off to him like 6 times, and it'll be okay for him this week. But Patterson's getting all the work. Like I said, like, yeah, you look at it on paper, you see the Browns, you think that's a tough matchup, but no Clowney, no Garrett. That defensive line is not going to be good this week at all. I'm going to go with CPAT.
I am too. Definitely worried about Kamara. Worried about the whole Saints offense, to be honest. Look, maybe they'll surprise us. Maybe they will, but I think I feel better about Patterson's volume here. And then Mark Cleveland wants to know, would you trade McLaurin for James Conner? If you're getting James Conner, no.
No. James Conner is not a guy you want to be trading for right now. Definitely not.
And look, if you're looking to upgrade a running back and trading a receiver, there's probably guys you could get that are better options. I'd rather have James Robinson at this point. I think you probably would too, right?
Sure.
Okay. So don't do that. Joseph Gonzalez, Christian Kirk, Dalvin Cook, or Devontae Smith.
Well, I can easily eliminate Cook from this one, but this is really close between Kirk and Smith for me. But I think Kirk, until further notice, I almost feel like you can't take Kirk out of your line. I mean, I kind of feel that way about Smith, but I feel even more that way about Kirk because him and Trevor Lawrence, obviously, and the way they're using Christian Kirk, they're just using him really, really well. So even though I love Smith this week, I still got to go Kirk.
Yeah, exactly. Kirk's a guy you kind of almost just need to roll with until further notice. Cook, there's no reason to risk him when you got those 2 options. It's tough for me. I think Kirk still will get a lot. Look, Philadelphia's defense has looked really good the last 2 weeks, but again, we know that Kirk isn't a guy who depends on those outside routes. He'll work across the middle. I think, look, it might need to throw the ball a ton, so that could work in his favor. So I'll go Kirk as well. Nightmarica.
All right.
So in a half PPR, Jamal
one
Williams,
of these
Will
guys?
Herbert, London, Olave, Devontae Smith at flex. Are we just picking one of these guys?
Oh my goodness. This now might be the toughest question, but only because there's so many good options. It's like this is the situation that's almost annoying because you know you're going to have lots of points on your bench, almost certainly. For me, it comes down to, do I like Williams or Herbert more this week?
Yep, that's the same. The half PPR kind of makes that easier, right? I mean, you know, both those running backs are going to get a huge workload. So to me, like, yeah, who do you like better than?
And they're both in great spots. Like, do I trust her? I don't know. I don't know why. I don't have like an analytical answer for you. Like, I know I usually like to use like analytics and talk about the matchups and like this and that, but I don't really have an analytic answer for you. This is just a gut feeling, so take it for what it is. I think both these guys are going to be great, but something tells me Herbert will be a little bit better than Jamal this week, so I'm going to go with Herbert. But I don't have like they're both going against terrible run defenses. They're both going to get a ton of touches, but I'm going to go slightly Herbert for no other reason. I just have this gut feeling about it. That's it.
It's really close. I have Williams a little higher than Herbert. I think Herbert's the better runner, but Williams has the better matchup. And the fact, to me, what pushes Williams a little bit over the edge is the fact that like they're just going to have to get the ball a ton because everybody in their receiving core is hurt, right? And so I really think it's just going to be Williams all day. So I'm going to do I'm going to practice what I preach. I'm going to chase the volume. So I'll go with Jamal Williams. But if you go Herbert because you think he has a better chance for a big game, you're right. He does have a better chance for a big game. I would not blame you at all. So pick whichever running back you feel better about.
Yeah, you're going to probably have Devonta Smith and one of those running backs just scoring a ton of points on your bench. So,
okay, so in half PPR flex, there's another tough one: Judy, Samuel, or Hunt.
I'm going to go with Hunt. I like Samuel, but he is what he is, right? He if he doesn't get a touchdown, he's not really going to give you a whole lot. I think Hunt kind of the same way, but This is such an incredible spot for these Browns running backs. And Judy, but Judy, what have we really seen? Like, we're in year 3 now of Jerry Judy, and we're still waiting for him to show us like he can be an every week, like, gotta have him in my lineup guy, right? We're in year 3 and we still haven't seen it. I'm gonna go Hunt.
I'm gonna go Hunt too. I have him as a high-end RB2 this week, which means if you have him as a second running back, you start him for sure. As a flex play, no doubt.
Yeah.
Judy's, that's it. Like, he's a flex if you need him, maybe a third receiver, but exactly. He had that one big play. Was it in week 1?
Yeah, and everybody lost their mind.
A lot since. I mean, and it's pretty obvious Sutton is the preferred receiver. So
yeah.
I know it's a good matchup. I don't mind flexing Judy, but when you have a guy like Hunt, it's clearly going to be Hunt. All right, Trevor's asking 2 flex spots, full PPR, Ayuk, Penny, or Dameon Pierce.
I pretty easily go the running backs here. I love Penny this week, and I love Dameon Pierce this week, both in great spots. I go those 2.
Definitely Penny and Pierce. Yeah, I agree. Ayuk, you know, don't hate Ayuk. I know people said I hate him last week because I put him on the bus video. We don't hate him. It's just he is what he is, right? He's kind of a boom bust guy. He needs that big player, that touchdown. It's just not a good matchup for him this week. Rico Hendricks wants to know Hawkinson or Everett, and then Rams or Broncos at defense. Let's start with tight end. Hawkinson or Everett?
I think this week is a week you got to feel really good about Hawkinson. They have Josh Reynolds as their best receiver. No Swift, no Sun God, no Chark. If Hawkinson doesn't have a big game this week, then it's like maybe we say, okay, it's not going to happen for Hawkinson ever. So I definitely got to go Hawkinson. All right.
Yeah, I'll agree. What we're thinking about the defensive question.
Yeah, that's
here.
the one I'm thinking about.
I think it's definitely Hawkinson. He should get a fair amount of targets. Look, Everett's fine. You can start him if you don't have a solid tight end, but Hawkinson, if he's not exciting anymore, he's solid. All right. And it's not like he had a huge game last week with Keenan Allen out. So I think he's fine, but I'll go Hawkinson. Rams or Broncos, tough. Rams are going against Jimmy G and the Niners. I mean, obviously, possibility for some turnovers or sacks or safeties from him stepping in the back of the end zone. And then the Broncos get the Raiders.
Definitely. I mean, one thing about Derek Carr is he at least this year, he's been turning it over, and he will take sacks. Like, usually in the past, he's been pretty good about not turning it over, but he's kind of turned it over so far this year. But this is close. This is a close one for defense for me. I think I'm going to give the slight edge to the Rams just because I don't feel like Jimmy G's going to – if anything, maybe Jimmy G doesn't throw an interception, but he'll take some sacks, and it's not like the Niners are going to score 30 points probably. So I'm going to go the Rams.
I'm going to go the Rams too. You know, Jimmy G's kind of a statue back there. I feel good about the sacks there. Like you said, Derek Carr, not always great, but I feel he's definitely got more potential to have a big game against that defense than Jimmy G ever having a big game against any defense.
True.
All right, we're catching up here. Just to let you know, guys, we will get to your chats. We have a couple of big super chats lined up. We're getting there, but again, we're trying to answer them in order.
Don't forget, guys, real quick, we're going for 3 hours tonight, so we're not even halfway yet. So we still got a long ways to go here. So just be patient. And also, don't forget the Discord server. Free download, takes a minute to download, a minute to sign up, and then you can get in there and you can ask your questions all week long. So check that out. Or you can always join us tomorrow morning, which is even better, for the Patreon, where it's way more, intimate, and we really break it down for you. So anyways, those are your options. We still got a long ways to go here, guys, so don't lose patience yet.
We're not even at halftime. I think we're getting there.
Not even halftime yet.
It's like almost like the 2-minute drill.
It's like when people are complaining about, like, oh my God, it's been one series and my wide receiver doesn't have a catch yet. What a bust! What a bust! And then he ends the day with like 200 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Like, relax, guys. We'll get there. Stay with us. Hang out. You might actually, learn some things about other questions. I mean, you maybe have this one question about your one flex spot on your team, but you get some insight about these other players. We talk about trade questions here. Some people asking trade, how we feel about these other players too.
Yeah.
All right. So here's your question, Domindian. PPR versus Cousins bench JJ since Higgins gave good points and start Williams and Cooks.
I can never bench Justin Jefferson. I'm sorry. I don't care what's happened the last 2 weeks. I don't care that he's going against Marshawn Lattimore. I cannot bench Justin Jefferson because staring at that 30-point game on my bench for one of the best wide receivers, not only in fantasy but in the NFL, I can't do it. I'm playing Justin Jefferson every single week unless he's hurt.
And I think I got it. He's saying like his opponent has Cousins, I guess. So he's like, I don't care.
Yeah,
that doesn't matter. You said the best lineup that you think is going to get you the most points. That's it. The only reason you would even care is if it was like your team defense or something weird. But you should never, ever, ever bench Justin Jefferson. I don't care what he did last week. Don't bench him. And it doesn't matter how T. Higgins gave you good points. You want more good points. All right. Yes. I would not start Jefferson or start Cooks over Jefferson anyways. Like, no way.
No way. Definitely.
All right. So flip side fishing. 14 team. Would Rondale Moore make his debut tomorrow? Maybe. Like, is that for sure? And even so, like, what are we going to get out of Rondale Moore? Like, I wouldn't even consider that, right?
No. But he's asking, does he still start Dortch or does he gamble? I am of the mindset I am never playing guys like if they've been out like Pittman, he had that quad injury, missed a week. I'll gladly roll Pittman out the next week off that quad injury. I like no problem. But guys, first game back from a significant injury like an ACL or an Achilles, no. We don't know how many snaps he's going to play. We don't know what his role is going to be, what his usage is going to be. I like Dortch a lot this week. I don't care if Rondale Moore plays. I still like Dortch. I'm going Dortch.
Definitely Dortch. Rondale Moore is like a non-factor for me. Even if he plays, so what? How many targets do we really expect Rondale Moore to get? And look, I was never a Rondale Moore fan to begin with, honestly. Like, before last year's draft, talking about I like to do these, top 10 rookie rankings pre-draft, and then we adjust in post-draft. He wasn't in my top 10. I don't think he's more than like a gadget player. That's just me. Brian Forth says he's 0-3. Don't get desperate yet. It's a little early, but I get it. You're worried. Down 10 points. Pick one. McLaurin, Samuel, Dobbs, Zeke, Pollard, Dylan, Bateman.
I think we talked. I mean, to me, it's Bateman, McLaurin, and I think I give this slight. I mean, I think I still go Bateman here, especially if you're projected. Like, if the other person's team is better than yours, you need upside. Like, you can't. Like, I think McLaurin. Like, I feel better about McLaurin catching more passes and getting more yards. But Bateman could hit on some big plays in this game, could score some touchdowns. I still got to go Bateman, especially for you. You need upside. I'm going Bateman.
Yeah, I'm a little confused. It says pick one as wide receiver 2, but I see Zeke and Pollard and Dylan in there. So
yeah, I mean, maybe as a flex. I don't know, but I mean, even out of this whole group, I'm going Bateman.
Yeah, I go Bateman first, McLaurin second, maybe Dobbs third, because you're shooting for upside. Yeah. I think you only need one, maybe two out of that group, but that's how I feel too. So hopefully that helps.
Yeah, good luck this week. Let's get that win.
And look, I'll just say projections. I learned just to ignore project. Every site has different projections. Projections mean absolutely nothing. They're never right. Eddie Davis saying Dotson. We haven't heard much from Dotson lately. Dotson, Dortch, Moore at wide receiver 2, and then would you flex Hall or Jeff Wilson?
Which Moore is that? I mean, I don't know if it matters actually. Like,
guessing
is it Rondale Moore? Is it Elijah Moore? Is it DJ Moore? Does it even matter at this point? Like, all the Moores busting right now. So, Sky Moore busting. Yeah, what's wrong with the Moores this year? I got to go Dortch out of that group again. Talked about him a lot tonight. I like his situation this week. Dodson, sure, he can always catch like a touchdown, but outside of that, what's he really getting you? I'm gonna go Dortch. Yeah,
I'm gonna go Dortch too. Dotson becoming kind of touchdown dependent.
Yeah.
Elijah Moore, I'm not giving up on Elijah Moore, but I'm also not starting him the first week back with Zach Wilson. Let's see what happens. I go Dortch. We feel pretty solid about Dortch. And then would you flex Hall or Wilson? Probably Hall, right?
Yeah. The thing about Wilson is he'll probably get more touches than Hall, but it's the Rams. This defense, this is one of those defenses you don't want to start running backs against. Like, you really need a touchdown from Wilson. I like Hall this week.
I'd go Hall too. All right, so Steven 3V was with us several chats last week.
On
So
Tuesday,
what is up?
too.
Good to have you back. Mike Williams or Gabe Davis?
Well, I talked about it. Gabe Davis with that ankle. I just, it's not that I dislike. The matchup is great. If Gabe Davis was 100% healthy, I'd say Gabe Davis all day. But we saw last week he did not look 100%. Did he even practice Friday? Didn't he go from limited to did not practice again this week, which is usually a really, really bad sign. I'm just going to put Mike Williams in and not risk it with Davis.
Yeah, like I said, I'm feeling worse about Davis as the week goes on. Again, this is a guy who didn't just now pop up in the injury report. He's been limited, and it's not like it's getting better. It seems like it's just not going away, right? Yeah. So he'll probably play, but less than 100%. That's where, just go with Williams.
Yep.
Luis Mendez wants to know Cooks, Palmer, Garrett Wilson, Burks, or DK. He needs 2 and a flex. So I guess we're
two wide receivers and a flex.
I'm guessing so. You said DK earlier. Got to go with him again.
I know.
Right?
It's like Garrett Wilson's the one I probably feel pretty good, the best about out of this group. I feel decent about Palmer, but my thing is can I start Palmer over Cooks? Even though Cooks might have a tough matchup against J.C. Jackson, it could be another bad week for Cooks. DK, it's a good spot, but look, even last week with 5 catches for 64 yards, it wasn't like he went off in a great spot. He did get the touchdown, which was nice, but it's not like he, against Atlanta, he didn't go off. I really like Burks a lot this week, but man, he's super risky. I think if it was me, I'm going Wilson, Palmer, and DK. That's probably how I'm going.
I think out of these guys, I think Burks is getting better. But I wouldn't start him. I think he's the one I would cross off this list. I wouldn't start him over those guys, right? Okay. You feel like you should be starting Brandon Cooks every week, and you probably have been, and you're disappointed. Will he get better this week? I don't know. That's the thing. It's this offense is just kind of still a work in progress. I got DK Metcalf as my first choice here. My second choice, I probably go Palmer, and then it's tough between Cooks and Wilson. I think I'm going to go Cooks and just hope that he has that positive regression. Just because I don't know what Wilson's going to do with Zach Wilson there. I mean, could be a mistake, but I'll trust Cooks one more week. All right. And as we do get to almost halftime, good time to mention that we do have a Discord. By the way, guys, you can throw your start questions in there. It's absolutely free, and not just us, but other people will help you. Trade questions, Dynasty, waiver wire, breaking news. Where I get my NFL news from our own Discord, because somebody's always posting it. Usually Nate is posting it as soon as it breaks. So that, and of course, become a patron. It's the best way to get everything at your disposal as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Thank you, Joseph. By the way, appreciate you, man.
Yes, we will appreciate you, Joseph. Thank you.
All right. So what is up?
I knew, I thought, I was like, maybe I'm not going to have to talk about Taysom Hill tonight, because I've gotten a lot of Taysom Hill questions on Twitter and stuff. What am I missing something with Taysom Hill? He's the backup quarterback this week, right? If Andy Dalton goes down, Taysom Hill's their quarterback, right? Is that correct?
He is the key to that offense, Chris. He is the guy that he's the straw that stirs the drink.
But no, did I miss something? Because if he's the backup quarterback, he's not going to play tight end this week. They can't risk Taysom Hill getting hurt because he's playing tight end, and then Andy Dalton gets hurt, and then who are they going to quarterback? I get the allure of Taysom Hill. Oh my God, I could have a quarterback in my tight end slot. And if Taysom Hill was announced as starter, I'd be like, you have to start Taysom Hill as a tight end everywhere, right? Everywhere he has to be started. But he's going to be maybe he gets in there like we used to see with Drew Brees, where they run him, it's 3rd and 1, and they have Taysom Hill in the shotgun, and the defense will never figure that this is coming, right? Ooh, they'll never guess this is what's coming here. And then he scrambles for 2 yards, right? Because that's what they used to do with him. But I can't, no, I guess you're hoping for Andy Dalton to get hurt or get benched. What am I missing something with Taysom Hill?
Okay, well, look, I get it, because obviously Kamara's questionable, Thomas is out, Landry's questionable. Here's the thing. I would say just go with your tight end. But your tight end is Irv Smith. Irv Smith is not doing much. And you know what? He's going against the Saints. The Saints are probably one of the toughest defenses against the tight end. I mean, I know it's only 3 games, but so far they're second in terms of points allowed. But the last couple of years have been one of the worst. Irv Smith, to me, is like there's almost no upside. So I'd rather take the chance that Andy Dalton gets hurt or that Taysom Hill comes in for that one play and takes an end around 50 yards. Like, you might as well. Like, I just say give it a shot because you're not losing anything. Irv Smith is almost like you're just giving up at the tight end position.
That's true. That's the thing. I'm so low on Irv Smith. So I guess here it makes sense. But I was just asking because I was like, man, I'm getting so many Taysom Hill questions. Maybe I missed something where it's like Taysom Hill's going to start this week instead of Andy Dalton. I mean, in which case he's like a must-start tight end, of course.
Well, look, is it out of the question that halftime, if Dalton is just getting, destroyed, they put Taysom Hill at quarterback? I mean, it could happen.
True. And it is Irv Smith. I mean, what are you really hoping for here?
All right, Michael Fawcett, thank you. So here we go. Got Kyle Pitts, Drake London, Pittman Kirk.
Wow.
Nice. Any concerns starting 2 Falcons players this week? I mean, if it's those 2, no.
Yeah, if it's those 2, no, I'm not starting Curtis Samuel over. Well, obviously he can't play tight end, so you're kind of stuck with Pitts. But I'm not playing him over Drake London. No.
And like we've addressed this at different times, talking about do you want to go with the stack on the same team? Usually wide receiver tight end thing, that's only for elite offenses. But in this case, you got the 2 guys who basically are the entire pass offense for this team.
Exactly.
So you're getting the targets, they're not eating into each other's production. As you saw last week, right. Pitts finally came alive. Well, London still got targeted a lot. So I'm not worried about that. And look, this offense is actually throwing the ball a decent amount. They're actually scoring points. All right. So I wouldn't worry about that. Before the season, if you'd asked me this, I would have been a little worried because I wasn't sure Drake London was legit yet, like ready for primetime. He is. So I'm not worried about this yet. So, and Samuel, there might be weeks where you say, oh, I'll start Samuel, but this isn't the week. I don't think it's the week. All right, Eddie Davis, once again. Thank you, Eddie. So you got Rogers Chubb, Javonte, Hall, Wilson Jr., James Cook, I guess, Jefferson, St. Brown's on your bench this week. Unfortunately, Thomas is also on your bench this week. Moore, Dotson, Dortch, Ertz. Okay. So all right. So this isn't the start set. This is where to improve. What would you say to do for this team?
This is another team that has multiple good running backs, or at least running backs that a lot of people would want to have, and probably needs help at wide receiver. So, I mean, look, I know the hate is going to come. It's fine. Bring it on. But Chubb's value is probably the highest Chubb's value has ever been right now. But look, the guy has 4 touchdowns. He scored 17 fantasy points last week when going over 100 yards with a touchdown. Like, I don't care what happened in week 2. He scored 3 touchdowns. But see, he has upside. Yeah, he gets you like 4. Literally, look, guys, I've actually looked at his game logs in his entire career. He averages about 4 20-point games per year. And then he gets like 7 or 8, 10 or less type of games. And then he's just kind of in the middle. That's just who he is. And it's not going to change. Even with Kareem Hunt down last year, it didn't really change. So I'd be looking to move Chubb right now because you have Javonte Williams, you have Breece Hall, you have Jeff Wilson, who's fine if you need him. He's getting the volume at least. I think Chubb, you can get back a really, really, really top-end wide receiver right now. Not like a Jefferson or a Cup. I mean, you already have Jefferson or a Cup. But you might be able to get like a Pittman for Nick Chubb right now, right? And if Javonte and Hall do what we think they're going to do this year, you're going to be fine at running back and you're going to be absolutely stacked at wide receiver. So I know people are going to say like, oh, you hate Chubb or you can't trade Nick Chubb. I'm trading Nick Chubb here and I'm going, but only to get like a really top end wide receiver.
Yeah, I mean, it would have to be a guy like a Pittman, like you said, maybe AJ Brown. People are saying, oh, no, Devontae Smith is the guy.
Yeah, somebody like that.
Okay.
Maybe even Tyreek Hill. People might be scared now with Tua hurt, like that Tyreek Hill is going to be terrible. Even somebody like that.
That's true, because Hill's numbers were down last week because of that, and they're worried. So you're thinking, okay, so if he trades Chubb for a wide receiver, like straight up, you think he's okay with the running backs he has the rest of the way?
Yeah, because I still think Javonte will be great. Like Chubb, 15 points week 1, 17 points week 2, and we're just going to go nuts about his 3 touchdown week 2, 17 points week 3. And we're going to go nuts about his 3 touchdown week 2 game and think that's who Nick Chubb is? Or do we think Nick Chubb is the guy who he's been his entire career? Look, Nick Chubb is a great running back in real life, or if you're in a non-PPR league. But he's not a great PPR running back because he doesn't catch passes. So I'm going to bank that Nick Chubb is going to be who he's always been. He's going to be a high floor guy who, sure, when he scores 2 touchdowns, he'll give you a decent ceiling. But outside of that, no. I think Javonte and Hall can be just as good as Nick Chubb long term, if not better. Like I said, right now, Jeff Wilson, if you need him, he's getting the volume. He's getting the volume there. Davis Price is hurt. You don't have there's nobody really threatening him. You can get by with those guys, and you'll be stacked at wide receiver. And then if Hall and Javonte do end up doing what we think they're going to do, your team is going to be an absolute monster, like a monster.
Right. Yeah, you're taking a chance on Breece Hall, but, obviously that's a good chance we're taking. Look, when Jefferson is normal and St. Brown is healthy, you got 2 top 10 receivers, just studs. But then it's really thin after that because Thomas, of course, is hurt. Who knows if you can count on him? Elijah Moore should be good, but who knows? So, yeah, I agree. It's just much safer to go with that stud wide receiver. All right, Joey Ford, 0-3. Should you trade Allen for Pittman Jr.?
Is that Josh Allen? Is that Josh? If that's Josh, look, I'm going to assume Josh. If it's Keenan Allen, don't even think about it. You do it, of course, especially when you're 0-3. You need.
Oh, no. Like he did say, right? I'm sorry, right below it, Keenan Allen.
Oh, okay. Don't even. If you're getting Pittman for Keenan Allen, yes, 100%. You can't wait for Keenan Allen to get back when you're 0-3. You need to win this week. And Keenan Allen's not getting you any points this week because he's out. And B, I would take Pittman over Keenan Allen anyway. So, yes, absolutely take Pittman Jr. over Keenan Allen for sure.
Take Pittman over Keenan Allen no matter what your record is. Do it.
Yeah.
See you later.
3-0. Take that trade.
This is one case we'll say you can stop watching, log off, go do that trade, and then come back.
Yes, exactly. But come back.
Mr. Peabody.
All right.
Like having him around. Half point, need a flex between Connor, Cooks, and Dobbs.
Well, I can definitely eliminate Connor from here. Cooks and Dobbs is close. Again, it's not just that that Cooks-Mills connection looks bad. It's the fact that J.C. Jackson is back, not on the fully healthy back. J.C. Jackson is a legit. Because he was stuck in New England last year, nobody knows this, but J.C. Jackson is legit one of, if not the best, shutdown corner in the entire NFL right now. He's like what Jalen Ramsey used to be, right? And I don't know if he's going to shadow Cooks, but he's going to be on Cooks a lot in this game, a lot. I'm gonna go Dobbs. I know it sounds crazy. I don't like what I've seen from Davis Mills this year. I don't like what I've seen from Cooks, and now he's got J.C. Jackson. I'm gonna go. Maybe I'll regret it. Maybe this is a game where Cooks catches 2 touchdowns and goes off. I'm gonna go Dobbs.
I think I'll go Dobbs too because it's half point. You need a flex. This is a guy who's not going to make or break your team necessarily. You can shoot for upside. I think Dobbs will be fine. You hate to chase last week. You say, last week Cooks was bad, Dobbs was good. Okay, well, this week Cooks could be bad again. I know I'm not completely giving up. I picked him a couple times, but in this case, I think you can go with Dobbs too. All right, it's Hunter. Jamal Williams or Javonte Williams? Oh, man. I love Jamal Williams, but I'm not sitting Javonte, and I know because I picked him as a boom this week, but I'm going to.
Yeah, I probably still got to go Javonte. Look, Derrick Henry looked like prime Derrick Henry last week against this Raiders defense. I don't know what's wrong with them. We thought this Raiders defense was going to be incredible, and they're just not. Maybe it's the injuries. I'm not sure, but I still got to go. Yeah, I still got to go Javonte. But man, love them both this week.
They both should smash. I'll go with Javonte. I'll lean with the guy on the better team.
Yeah.
Tyler, been a while. Where you been?
Yeah, talk about late.
Yeah, that's all right. What's up, Tyler?
There we go.
All
that's
right.
what I like to see. Undefeated. Let's go.
That's what we want to see. And look, guys, there's a lot of luck involved in fantasy football, right? We're going to take some L's and we're going to be up and down all year, but at the end, we want to come out ahead. I think we'll get you there. That's what we're trying to do. So good to hear. That's why we do this. Dilly wants to know half point. All right, so wide receiver 1 and 2. You got Garrett Wilson, Adam Thielen, Curtis Samuel, Terry McLaurin, Chris Olave, or Jahan Dotson.
Yeah, this is tough because you don't really have a wide receiver 1. I think out of that group, I can easily play Terry McLaurin.
Yep.
Man, see this, Jameis. Jameis, why aren't you playing this week? Because it would just be so easy to just say Olave, right? It's so easy to say Olave because.
You know what's interesting? There's so many teams, I feel like, where we have or questions where we see people who have all the Commanders receivers like on the same team.
Yes.
Like there's not like just a lot of people just stack them all, which makes it kind of annoying for you, right? Because then you're like, well, which guy do I go with? I agree.
Yeah, I think it worked because McLaurin was like a 4th rounder. Dodson was like a late rounder, and Samuel wasn't even drafted in most leagues. So but I think I'm still gonna go Olave. Over Wilson.
Yeah.
Because it's Andy Dalton, and I don't like that, but I know his target share has to be there. Like, it has to be there. So I'm going to go McLaurin and Olave.
Yeah, and we've kind of talked about these guys at various points. So McLaurin, to me, is the most solid. I would still take a chance on Olave. I think Taysom Hill can get him the ball pretty
Yeah, or Taysom Hill.
All right. Pereiro. Standard League, your favorite. RB1 and 2. All right, pick 2. Jamal Williams, Najee, Khalil Herbert, or Michael Carter. But I think we can get this pretty easily resolved. Okay, so not Michael Carter, right?
Yeah, but we're only okay. We can get Michael Carter out there, but
and this is standard. You're not benching Najee for those.
No, I'm not benching Najee. I'm still playing Najee, especially in any format.
Okay, so you're starting Najee as your RB1.
I'm going to go, like I said earlier, I just have a gut feeling about Herbert, and non-PPR makes me feel even better about Herbert because if he doesn't catch any passes, who cares? I'm going to go Najee and Herbert.
I'm going to stick with what I said earlier, Najee, and I have Williams over Herbert, but I don't blame you if you want to start Herbert.
Yeah, those two guys are really close.
Yeah. It's close between those guys. But yeah, you can't bench Najee. You can't start Carter.
Especially against the Jets. Like I said, I think I said it on our Tuesday night show, or maybe our Sunday night show. I don't know, one of our shows. By the way, we do 3 shows a week, so another reason to subscribe. I said if he doesn't do it against the Jets, then we start panicking.
Yes, that is definitely true. All right, so Steven again wants to know pick running back 1 and 2. There's another Najee question.
This is easy for me. I'm benching Dalvin Cook. I'm benching Dalvin Cook. Look. We know that shoulder, it's a risk of re-injury, so that right there is a little worrisome. And B, it's a brutal matchup against the Saints, and they're overseas. I feel good about Najee and Herbert this week. I'm just going to roll with those 2 guys.
No need to risk Cook when you got those 2 guys.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
Najee, he's still an RB1 for us, and Khalil, great matchup. So yeah, look, Cook has another shoulder game where he goes off with a sling on him. Like, good for him, but.
Exactly.
I'll take a chance on Khalil Herbert. Jared Tyrese is wanting to know for PPR Flex, Hunt, Gabe, McLaurin, Bateman. Are we just picking one of these? And okay, so if it's just one flex play, I'd say you can scratch Gabe Davis off of there. It's between Hunt and Bateman for me.
Yeah, me too. And I'm debating which one I like more. This is
this is tough. Bateman, I feel like Bateman should have the higher upside, but also the lower floor.
Yes, I agree.
Hunt is kind of the safe pick. I might just say, just go with Hunt.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was leaning was with Hunt. Again, people. It's funny. I say things like somebody posted expected. I think it was Hayden Winks posted the expected fantasy points for running backs last week. You know who was in the top 10 and who wasn't? Kareem Hunt was in the top 10 and Nick Chubb was not. You know what I mean? Because Kareem Hunt's catching passes, and Kareem Hunt got more goal line works. I know it didn't work out for Kareem Hunt, and it worked out for Chubb, but people don't realize like how close it was to being the other way. So I'm going to go Kareem Hunt slightly over Bateman.
Yep. It's tough. You have some good choices there, but I feel pretty good about Hunt this week. Mr. X. Start 2, Gibson.
Well, here's some guys we haven't talked about this week.
Wilson Jr. Okay, here's your shot, your chance to take a shot at Zeke.
No, I'm not going to take a shot at Zeke. I'll never love Zeke. I think it's obvious we can all accept. Even I hope everybody is finally on the page that says, okay, Zeke is done being an elite running back, an elite fantasy running back. Those days are over. He's a guy that's going to get like 15 touches and have chances to score. And this is a matchup where he could definitely score. So I'm gonna go with Zeke. It's the Commanders. I mean, if anybody, definitely has touchdown upside this week. This is where it's going to be tough because it's like, do you want the volume or do you want the matchup more? And I think I'm going to go with Gibson. He always has a chance. It's just Wilson against the Rams. Oh my gosh, it's so like that Rams run defense is so good. I'm going to go Gibson and Zeke.
I am too. It's hard for me to really pull for Jeff Wilson. He's a guy who just needs a ton of carries. He needs a touchdown. It's not a good matchup. This is your last week really to roll with Gibson and his volume, which he's getting because Brian Robinson is on the way back. So yeah, I'll just take both the guys in that matchup, go Gibson and Zeke. All right, Eddie, you must be like me. You have like 10 teams. So he's asking with another question here. Wide receiver 2, Dortch Dotson. Is it DJ Moore?
Yeah, it's DJ
okay.
Moore.
Here's your chance to take a shot at DJ Moore.
I'm gonna go Dotson. I'm gonna go Dortch here. Dotson again to me, just a touchdown or bust guy. Like what can we really count on from DJ Moore at this point? Like, what are we hoping for with DJ Moore? Like, hasn't even reached 50 receiving yards yet. Like, Baker is not an upgrade, guys. He's not an upgrade. He's not.
All right. Well, so let me answer this because there was this thing, and you probably saw it, right? The interview where they asked DJ Moore, well, what do you think about basically being thrown under the bus by your quarterback? Because Baker Mayfield, or was it Mayfield or was it Rule?
I think it was Rule said the receivers got to like help Mayfield more.
Yeah. The receivers need to get open.
And then DJ Moore's like, we're open.
So is this like a squeaky wheel game? Is this a get right game?
But see,
play the Cardinals.
That's not squeaky. That's not a squeaky wheel. That's not like DJ Moore saying like, I'm open. You gotta give me the ball more. That's Matt Rule calling you out, and then you saying like you're wrong. Like that's not a squeaky wheel game. Like that. This isn't like I need the ball more.
It's a coach. Like it's not my fault. It's not my like. A desperate coach
the problem for DJ Moore, even if it was a squeaky wheel game, the squeaky wheel is catching passes from Baker Mayfield. That's the problem here, right? This whole offense is terrible with Baker. I mean, look, Sam Darnold is going to be back soon. It will not surprise me if we see Sam Darnold this season and Baker Mayfield gets benched. But anyways, I'm going Dortch here. I like Dortch this week.
Yeah.
I don't need to risk it with DJ Moore and his, getting 2 catches for 30 yards or something like that. Maybe he'll score a touchdown and you can tell me like I was an idiot or whatever, but fine. I'm going Dortch here. I like that matchup for him. And then I think we had this one earlier, Hall or Wilson Jr. I'm definitely going Hall. And I'm not flexing one of those wide receivers over Hall either. So I'm going Dortch and Hall.
Yeah, I think Hall's still solid enough that you can flex him out. So, all right, guys, we're still catching up on super chats. Don't worry, we will get to your question. Are we behind? Yes, we are, because we're trying to get them all in order. Couple of non-super chats. Just want to throw these out there. MQ saying never start Mooney until he shows something. I think we agree with that, right?
I agree with that. Yep, agree with that.
And then Brittany, thank you for the question. Darnell Mooney or Tyler Algier? I mean,
maybe here I do go Mooney. See, this is what you do. Like Algier wasn't even involved last week. I don't know. I mean, I know it's a good match. I can't play Algier. Maybe I'll still go Mooney.
Yeah, I look, if Cordell Patterson doesn't play, you go Algier. But for now, I'd go Mooney over him. All right, 2 boys and their scary pops. That's interesting. Okay, defense: Browns, Niners, or Steelers. You can't start the Niners against the Rams, can you?
Can't start the Niners against the Rams. I don't. The Browns saved everybody with that ridiculous touchdown on the laterals last week. and they don't have Garrett, and they don't have Clowney. You gotta go with the Steelers against Zach Wilson making his first start of the year. I don't think TJ Watt is playing. I haven't heard anything, but still, I gotta go Steelers against Zach attacking his first start of the year.
Yeah, even if it's not a full strength Steelers defense, obviously it'd be great if they had Watt, but yeah, you got to play matchups here. Steelers definitely for me. All right, another defense question: Giants or Denver?
Okay, I like Giants D a lot. It's crazy. Like, you should think like an offense that doesn't throw the ball is not a good streaming matchup. But Justin Fields finds a way to throw 2 interceptions every single week. And even though he's a running quarterback, he finds a way to take like 5 sacks every single week. Like, I don't get it. Like, you shouldn't be able to stream against the Bears because they just run the ball, and that's usually not a good thing for a streaming defense. But Justin Fields is the exception. He might only throw it 15 times, but 2 will be interceptions, and he'll get sacked 3 or 4 times. So I'm gonna go with Giants.
You gotta go with the Giants. It doesn't matter in this case. Look, for like running backs, receivers, you say, okay, you don't sit a more talented, a better player. You don't overreact to the matchup. For defense, it's all about matchup. It's just matchup. Like, I don't care that Denver's better than the Giants for sure in defense. Going against the Bears, probably have one of the worst offensive lines in the league. They will not throw the ball. They are almost guaranteed not to score over 20 points. You definitely go on the Giants. Look, the Giants defense actually hasn't been that bad this year either.
True.
All right, Anthony Cervantes, do you go Olave or Josh Palmer? This one's a close one.
Man, why, Jameis? This should be such an easy answer. I think I still go Olave. I'm gonna trust the talent. I'm gonna trust the target share. I guess that they both have good matchups. So I'm gonna go slightly Olave.
Well, you think about it too. Look, Olave still should be the number 1 target there for Dalton,
especially this week.
And it's a good matchup on paper. Palmer still, even though he did actually see the most targets last week, Mike Williams should be there, get more attention. Eckler gets the dump offs. Everett's there. It should be Olave. I think you can take a chance with him. Like I said earlier, he's got that big play ability, that home run ability. He's not as dependent. Like, Palmer needs that volume. If he doesn't get, more than 5 targets, he's not really going to get you a big game unless he happens to score. So, yeah, I'll go with Olave. All right, a couple here. Kevin Taylor, PPR, I guess, a 10-team league. Curtis Samuel, Mike Williams, Devontae Smith at wide receiver 2, and then Kamara, Herbert, Jamal Williams, flex.
Oh, man.
Got that same type of question.
I definitely go Smith at wide receiver 2. And then, I guess you could flex Mike Williams, but I think I know you're going to probably say Jamal. I'm fine if you want to play Jamal. Like, those guys are neck and neck. I just have this weird feeling that Herbert's going to, like, score 2 touchdowns this week, and that'll be their whole offense. Like, they won't even be able to kick field goals because Santos is out, which don't ask me how I know that. I'm going to go Smith and Herbert.
I'm going to say Smith and Williams. Going to stay consistent here.
It's fine.
And then Mike Chills. 1 flex spot. All right, so which one do you like? Ramondre, Zeke, Madison, A-Rob, or Lazard?
Well, you can't start Madison with Cook playing because you really have to bank on Cook getting injured, which it could happen, but you don't want to bank on that. You can't start Allen Robinson. You just can't. It's sad, but you can't. Lazard, touchdown or bust, pretty much. I'm going to give Zeke the edge here. I do like Stevenson, but it's not the best matchup. And with Brian Hoyer, who knows if this offense is even, like, can they even move the ball with Brian Hoyer? Like I said, Zeke against the Commanders, he's still getting at least 15 carries. Yeah, he might only get you 60 yards, but he has a chance to score. I'm going to go Zeke.
Everything you just said, actually going to make this easy on you and agree. Madison, like you said, unless Cook is ruled out. Cook is, I think, is not even questionable. I think they're just saying he's playing, right?
I think he was by Thursday, he was a full participant in practice. So you got to assume he's playing and he's fine.
You can't play Madison. A-Rob, I'm ready to give up. I'm ready to go Robinson. Lazard's touchdown or bust. I feel like Zeke and Ramondre have just as good a chance to get a touchdown. and they're going to get more touches. So I agree. Go with Zeke based on the matchup. Jason Quinones, what is up? Guys, with us every single week. Always appreciate it. So, Jimmy G or Goff?
This was a much easier decision when Amon-Ra and DJ Chark were going to play.
Yep.
And maybe, I mean, now you got to be really concerned about Goff. Like, but Jimmy G against the Rams? I mean, you got to be concerned about that too.
I know. And that's the thing. There's not a lot to get excited, but he's got more weapons at his disposal. At the very least with Jimmy G, he hits Deebo Samuel for a 1-yard slant. He takes it to the house. He hit Ayuk for a touchdown like last week.
Maybe Kittle in the red zone, right?
Kittle
in the red zone.
Better weapons.
I'm going to give the edge to Jimmy G. Just too worried about Goff with no weapons. Yeah.
Even with St. Brown going nuts and Chark looking good and Swift, Goff's fantasy numbers haven't been great. Like, he hasn't had a 300-yard game. He's not throwing 3-4 touchdowns. So I don't think Goff is startable even in a super flex this week. So it's got to be Jimmy G. Don't love Jimmy G, but it's better than Goff. Joshua Wilson in a 12-team PPR, 2 flex spots. All right, this is going to test us. I feel like we need to spend some time here. Juju, Zeke, Dobbs, or Stevenson. He's saying 2 flex spots. Who are you going to go with?
Okay.
What do you think about Juju? We haven't talked about Juju yet this week.
Yeah, call me crazy, but I'm going to go Dobbs and Juju. And here's why I'm going to go Juju. So Juju is a guy, he's a slot guy. He runs those short routes. He can't really run anything else. Not a vertical guy at all. And he's way better against zone coverage than man. And we were talking about it in the Discord. Another reason why you should get in the Discord, because we don't just talk about, like, we talk about stuff. Like, trust us. You will learn a lot in there. And it's not just us. There's a lot of other sharp fantasy football players, football knowledgeable guys in there too, not just us. Like, there's a lot of knowledgeable guys in there. We talk about some good stuff. But we were talking about, why has Juju been struggling? And I looked, and sure enough, in weeks 1 and 2, this is the no tie. Remember last year that everybody's playing like the cover 2 high safeties against Chiefs, trying to limit those big plays to Tyreek. Well, Tyreek is gone. What did we see in the first 2 weeks? Both defenses played primarily man against the Chiefs. It didn't work, right? Mahomes looked great. It didn't work. People just thought, like, we can go man because they don't have any receivers. Last week, what did we see? Juju had a pretty nice game. They went, who did they play? The Colts. The Colts played primarily zone last week. It worked well against Mahomes. Mahomes did not have a great game. The Colts won that game. I think defenses are going to go back to zone because they're going to say, hey, man isn't working against them. Just go to play zone. That helps Juju. Anyways, that's a long way of saying I'm going Juju and Dobbs in PPR.
I'm tempted to go Juju and Zeke because
I thought about Zeke, but my only worry with Zeke is, like, if he doesn't score a touchdown, what are you getting? Because he's not catching passes.
Yeah,
probably even against Commanders, can he go for 100? I don't know if he can go for 100. That's my only concern with Zeke.
I'm just thinking more because I've been thinking about the wide receivers, versus their defense. Dobbs going against the Patriots. I know it's not last year's defense, but they're still pretty good against wide receivers.
True.
Even though they don't have J.C. Jackson, they don't have a shutdown guy. Which is, it's like, how stupid. Like, Bill Belichick needs to get over himself. The whole, like, oh, we don't care. They had Stephon Gilmore. They had J.C. Jackson. They had all these shutdown corners, and they're like, yeah, we don't care. Just go somewhere else. It's like, come on. But I think I would go Zeke. I agree with Juju, everything you said. I think I'll go with Zeke just because of the matchup. Dobbs, I think, is fine, but I don't know. That's close to me, though.
Yeah. I could make a case for Zeke as well. I mean, I do like Zeke this week. I think he has touchdown upside. My worry with him is, like, Dobbs can at least get, like, 5 or 6 catches and get you those double-digit PPR points.
Yeah.
I don't know if Zeke doesn't score, like, what are you getting from Zeke? That's my only worry. But it is a great matchup for Zeke. It's a great matchup for Zeke.
Right. I feel like Dobbs has more of a floor.
Yeah.
But I feel like Zeke has a little higher ceiling. He has a chance.
Maybe a little higher.
A little higher. All right. Steven.
Man, thank you, Steven.
Isaiah McKenzie over Mike Williams.
No, I can't do that. I know we're talking about Gabe Davis being less than 100%, but McKenzie's still not a guy that's going to get, he's not going to get downfield shots. He needs volume and he needs a touchdown pretty much. I still got to go Mike Williams.
Yeah. I think Mike Williams will be fine. It was disappointing last week, but Keenan Allen's still out. Good matchup. you got to keep rolling with Mike Williams. I do like McKenzie this week, but not over a guy like that.
Yeah.
This one I'm gonna throw out there, not a super chat, but I've heard it looks like there's 3 different people asking the exact same question. So Pierce or Hunt?
Okay, this one's close. This one is close.
This one is Judy Alley, and then got some other people who are wondering the same thing. Jay Duval.
I'm gonna give Pierce the slight edge only because we know he's pretty much the guy there, right? Like he's pretty much the guy. We don't have to worry about Nick Chubb getting the goal line work. We don't have to worry about Nick Chubb, breaking off some long runs and they don't really run that many. Like Pierce is the guy there. And the one thing about the Chargers, talk about J.C. Jackson, but especially with Joey Bosa out, I mean, look, James Robinson just had a 50-yard touchdown against them. The guy is coming off Achilles injury. Like this run defense still isn't very good. I'm going to go Pierce barely.
It is tough, and I hate to go against Hunt because he's a guy I'm feeling a big game, is in store. It's a good matchup. But he is, in a timeshare there. Pierce is not. It's just all Pierce. And like you said, that defense wasn't great last week. No Bosa. I think you got to stick with Pierce since, definitely going to get more touches.
Yeah.
All right. So Jay Merck now start to Sutton, Cooks, or Olave. I mean, Sutton for sure.
Yeah, Sutton for sure. And then everything I've said about Cooks tonight, I'm going to go back to Olave. I know there's risk with Olave, but he's not facing J.C. Jackson, and we haven't seen that Mills-Cooks connection. I'm going to go Sutton Olave.
I'm going to go Sutton Olave too. Sutton is for sure here. And Olave, I think he should be good enough. Cooks is startable, but yeah, I'll go with a guy who has more upside. All right, for a win ball.
Man, a lot of Brandon Cooks tonight.
A lot of Brandon Cooks. I get it. You thought you were going to just be able to set and forget it as your wide receiver 3. Not so much. All right, so we got Cooks, Dobbs, Sanders, or CEH. Our first CEH question here. On Flex, it's full PPR.
I can't play running back against the Bucs. They're one of those defenses I just avoid. Like, I remember how many comments when I had Zeke as a bust week 1, and everybody's like, "You're an idiot." And then people were asking about like Dillon and Jones in week 3, and I said, "Don't start them. Don't start. Oh, you can't sit Aaron Jones." And then what happened? You wish you sat Aaron Jones. Like this is just an elite run defense. It's like you just defense you want. And CEH isn't getting. That's the thing. He's been great, but he's getting like by on 7 carries and like 3 or 4 catches and scoring touchdowns. And I just don't see it this week. So to me, it's between the 2 wide receivers. Am I down enough on Cooks to bench him for Dobbs, though? That's the thing.
Yeah, that's tough for me. I think I'd go Cooks here.
Yeah, I think I still got to.
Down on CEH, never Sanders, no, not when you have better options. I'm going to lean Cooks.
Yeah, and then he's asking, I think if you have room to stash Robinson and Burks, stash him, especially Burks. If Burks is on your wire and you can stash him now. His role is just gonna go up. So definitely, yeah, stash him both for sure.
All right, so let's go back to Jason. Thank you.
Jason.
Wide receiver 2, Ayuk, Reynolds, or Metcalf. And then at flex, he's got some options there at running back. And then how do you feel about Justin Jefferson? Let's start backwards. How do you feel about Justin Jefferson this week?
I've already talked. I'm not. Look, it's Marshawn Lattimore. It's not the best matchup, but it's Justin Jefferson. Like,
start.
It's not Mike. Look, Marshawn Lattimore is a great corner, but he brings like his A+++ game when he plays Mike Evans, and then he just kind of brings like his. Sometimes he brings like his C game. Sometimes he brings like his B. Like he picks and chooses his battles sometimes. So I don't know. We might not get like,
It's true.
all out. Lattimore this week, but still, I never not starting Justin Jefferson. Like there's no unless he's hurt.
All right, so let's go back to wide receiver. Ayuk, Reynolds, or Metcalf?
Well, I'm going to say this because then you're asking flex, Akers, I assume Darrell Henderson, and CEH. I'm going to skip all those guys, and I'm going to go with Reynolds and Metcalf. So I'm going to play Metcalf, one of them in the flex and one of them at wide receiver, just because Akers in a tough spot this week against the Niners. And look, he still hasn't looked great. He had that like nice touchdown last week, but that's really it. Henderson barely involved. CEH already talked about it. Can't start a running back against the Bucs. So I'm gonna go Reynolds and Metcalf. I'm just gonna ignore those running backs, and I'm gonna play those 2 wide receivers because they're in good spots this week, and Reynolds we talked about. So
I'm gonna agree. I mean, like you can call me a Stan or whatever, or Akers. I'm gonna start rolling with Akers more often, but not this week. Not this week. It's not a good matchup against the Niners. And you do have wide receivers with upside. So feel pretty good about DK. And then Josh Reynolds, assuming he's good to go. Check, of course, he's also questionable, but he's going to be the wide receiver 1. Good matchup. This week, I'll go with Reynolds. It's not often I'll say that, but this week, you go with the guy with the opportunity. And look, Reynolds has actually been putting up numbers. So I would do that too. All right. Tyler wants to know Josh Allen or Lamar. Who has the bigger game?
I mean, I think you gotta go with Lamar.
Lamar? You going Lamar? I'm going Josh Allen.
Oh man,
well, he gets Baltimore defense.
Well, I mean that's true, but Lamar almost a lock for 100 rushing yards right now. That's 10 fantasy points. Just you just start with okay, Allen, maybe Allen would get 40 or 50. Let's give Allen 50. You have a 5-point head start just from running. and Lamar's look great. And this Bills, I know it's the Bills, but their defense, their secondary, well, the whole defense is really banged up. Their secondary is not the same right now. I gotta go with Lamar still. I still gotta go Lamar.
I'm going Josh Allen. Like Bills are gonna be mad. They lost last week to the Dolphins. Like Lamar, of course. I love Lamar. I think he's going to be the quarterback 2 by year's end. Josh Allen's still the quarterback 1. Baltimore has had some easy, favorable defensive matchups so far. Like Lamar's putting up points, but against teams like the Dolphins and the Jets, right? I think Buffalo at least is going to keep him somewhat in check. I mean, not really, but I like Josh Allen a little bit better. All right, KP, Olave. A lot of Olave questions. I get that. Kirk or Garrett Wilson? If it's Christian Kirk.
Yeah, right? Like I said earlier, Kirk feels like a guy you just have to have in your lineup every week right now. So Kirk.
Yeah, got to go Christian Kirk. All right, guys. So you know, we're 2 hours in. We still got about an hour left in us. Again, trying to catch up. I know we got a lot of super chats lined up. We will get to your question, I promise. If you don't have your question answered, then it probably wasn't a super chat, but also go join us in the Discord or join us tomorrow if you become a patron. Pretty reasonable, I think. It's $4.99 a month for the very first entry level, and you can join us on Sunday mornings. All right, let's keep going though. Fergda. Need to start one in my flex. Already down big because he had Higgins and I had Waddle. That happens. Get it. So you got AJ Dillon, Romeo Doubs, Traylon Burks, or Breece Hall.
I think I'm going Hall. I think I like Hall a little bit more than Dillon. I know there's always risk that maybe he doesn't catch as many passes with Zach Wilson or the offense looks different, but I mean, Burks, yes, I like Burks this week, but I like Burks last week and he got 2 targets, even though you saw his snap share go up. So he's risky. Dobbs is fine, but I don't think he has a huge ceiling. Same with Dillon this week. I'm going Hall.
Yeah, you can't go Burks yet, especially look, the thing is, I might say Dillon most weeks, but if you do need some more upside, Hall has that. He's more likely to get that big chunk yardage, right? He is starting to become gradually the number 1 running back there. So I agree. I'd go Breece Hall this week. And, Ferg did clarify full PPR.
I mean,
that doesn't make a huge difference, but Breece Hall is catching passes.
Yeah.
That helps.
Definitely.
All right, Sean Tanian, should I trade Swift for Kamara?
No, keep Swift. Keep Swift. I mean, if I'm going to trade Swift right now, let's say you're 0-3 and you're I have to win this week, I got to get more back than Kamara. I get more back than I got to get Javonte, at least Javonte. If I'm going running back for running back, maybe Mixon, who's I think's a good buy low right now. I mean, I know you can't play him this week, so that doesn't really help you because you already played. But Mixon's a good buy low. I need somebody with more upside than Kamara.
You're saying with the injury, but Swift for now he's missing a couple weeks. Kamara's hurt too. Like he might play, but he's banged up and he's not been great this year, even when he's healthy. So
yeah,
you're not coming out ahead in that trade.
No.
So no. All right, Christopher Levine wants to know, am I starting Josh Reynolds over Damien Harris? Yes, you are.
I am. Definitely.
I mean, Harris, somewhat matchup dependent, but also we're hearing Ramondre looked better last week, might get more touches. Damien Harris without a touchdown. Like full PPR, you go with the receiver. All right, Dobbs over MVS, Noah Brown, and just Dalton Schultz. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I mean, definitely over MVS and Schultz. Yeah, and over Brown too. I'm a little worried about Brown this week just because Schultz back, Gallup back. Will he see the number of targets? So yeah, yes.
Yeah, I agree. Like Noah Brown tempting because of that matchup. We've talked about it going into Washington, true. But like you said, might not get as many targets. I think Dobbs is still a little bit more solid. Raps back again. PPR, would you flex Kareem Hunt, Dortch, Breece Hall?
Definitely Hunt for me here. As much as I like Hall, and I know I've talked a lot about Dortch, Hunt just has so much upside this week over those guys. I got to go Hunt.
I agree. I'm going to go Kareem Hunt there. With that group, flip side fishing back again. 14 team. So I guess it's the same one. ATN or Akers? All right, this one done for me. Look, you have to admit, ATN is really not startable, right? He's not.
He's not. I mean, it's sadly it's got to be Akers, but I don't enjoy it. I mean, it's the Niners. He probably needs a touchdown. But, I mean, so does Etienne. So, I guess I got to go Akers, but I don't like it.
It's definitely Akers, and I do like it. All right. Joe, don't worry, we got you. I know you're a little worried you didn't attach your question. That's okay. I see it here. So, Joe DePaulo is asking, with Thomas out, needs someone PPR Dotson, Allen the third? Who's Allen the third?
Allen Robinson. All
right. DJ Moore or pick up Reynolds.
Look, it might sound crazy, but I'm picking up Reynolds and I'm playing him over those guys. Like, maybe Dotson for the touchdown upside, but really outside of that, you're not getting anything. I can't start Allen Robinson. I just can't start DJ Moore. I can't do it. Like, if he goes off on my bench, oh well, he goes off on my bench. Like, we've seen nothing that should make us think DJ Moore is going to go off. So I'd rather just roll with Reynolds in his target share.
Like, I know you're not going to go with DJ Moore. I kind of feel like he might be okay because it's Arizona, and Arizona is just so bad on defense and offense. But yeah, Josh Reynolds, he's the number one guy there this week. I guess.
I mean, how many times can we get let down by DJ Moore before we bench DJ Moore?
Yeah.
If you go back at week 6 to the end of last season, DJ Moore averaged 10.9 PPR points per game. That is not startable in PPR leagues. That is waiver wire. That's a guy you grab off of waivers. This year, what is he averaging? 8 PPR per game? How long are we going to give this guy? We're talking about 19 games or 18 games. How long of a leash does this guy get? At least Reynolds, I feel like, has a floor. Sure, DJ Moore, it could be one of those games where DJ Moore catches 2 touchdowns and it's yeah, and everybody's like, I'm back in on DJ Moore. Or it could be another game where he catches 1 catch for 2 yards.
And it's a good matchup, basically, for him, too, going against Seattle. So, yeah, go with Reynolds. That way you avoid the stress of having DJ Moore in your lineup. All right, so you're starting Saquon and Derrick Henry so he's saying he's starting Saquon. So Derrick Henry or J-Rob? I mean, it's got to be Derrick Henry.
Yeah, I think it's still got to be Henry. I mean, not the best matchup for J-Rob. I got to go Henry here.
Start Derrick Henry. Told somebody, whoever asked last week, you got to keep Derrick Henry in there. Okay, big dog pound. Eagles defense or Broncos defense?
I'm going to go Eagles. Trevor Lawrence. One thing about Trevor Lawrence, he's not really taking a lot of sacks. That offensive line looks pretty good, and he's not turning the ball over. So there's always risk of that. But they're just such a good defense, and this could be a game where they can pin their ears back and go after them, if they're up big. So I'm gonna go Eagles.
Yeah, definitely going Eagles. I'm not fully buying into the Jags offense just yet. I'm a little more, maybe not worried, but I feel like the Raiders have a better chance to put up points than the Jags. I'll go the Eagles. And I was a believer in the Eagles defense preseason, so going with the Eagles. And then Drew Loya, would you trade? Love these trade questions. Dalvin, Swift, Madison, McLaurin for Javonte Williams, Jamar Chase, AJ Dillon, and Khalil Herbert. Not a small deal here. We're going to talk about 4 for 4.
This is.
I'm
trying to figure out which side I prefer.
I would take the second side. Like, would you trade those guys to get those guys? Yes. I would. Look, Jamar Chase, I get he's been disappointing. But look, who's the other receiver you're giving up? McLaurin? I'd have Jamar Chase over McLaurin. Javonte Williams. I mean, if nothing else, even if Swift winds up being this breakout stud, it's not like there's a big drop here. Javonte Williams should be solid. AJ Dillon is solid. And then Madison is never going to play without Dalvin. That's basically one guy, right? It's like Dalvin and Madison, so you're getting an extra running back. I would do that.
Yeah. The only downside of the second side is when David Montgomery comes back, despite – I remember we went through this last year too. Everybody's like, oh, Herbert's look good. When Monty comes back, it's going to be a split. And then it was all Montgomery. It's going to be all Montgomery when he comes back. But like Madison, same thing, right? He can't be played unless Dalvin's out. So, yeah, give me the – I think I like Javonte and Jamar more than Dalvin and Swift. McLaurin and Dillon probably kind of – so give me the second side as well. Give me the second side.
Yep, I would do that. The blockbuster deal. Roberto, what is up?
What's up, Roberto?
All right, he's. I think he's trolling here. He just wanted to throw out DJ Moore's name. He's listening.
I'm gonna go Max Hollins here. Like I said, I can't put Njoku in. I just can't do it. I can't put DJ Moore in. Like, maybe this is the week. Maybe this is the week where it finally happens. I can't do it. I can't do it. And Max Hollins without Hunter Renfrow should get plenty of targets. So I'm gonna go with Mac Hollins.
Yeah, Renfro's still out. Hollins should be fine. Not as big as last week, of course, but yeah, I'd go Hollins too. And here you go, a third straight DJ Moore question. But this is a trade. All right, so PPR trade, Chubb and Moore for Swift and Deontay or Waddle. I mean, come on.
I take that second side for sure, whether it's Deontay or Waddle. I don't care. Like these are two guys that just are what they are. And people want them to be so much more, like so badly, and I don't understand why. But they just are what they are. They're like, well, Chubb is fine in fantasy. And DJ Moore, I don't even know if he's fine in fantasy anymore. But Swift and Deontay or Swift and Waddle, yeah, take that for that side for sure.
And it's tough. Look, I would say it would be obvious to take Waddle instead of Deontay. Not so obvious anymore. We don't know Tua's situation, but I still rather have Waddle because, I mean, come on. Who do the Steelers have? It's Trubisky. So I would take, if you can get Swift and Waddle for those two, yeah, do it for sure. All right, tight end question here. Donald Brown wants to know, would you go with Everett or Schultz if he plays? Are you trusting Dalton Schultz this week?
No. Schultz is playing, by the way, but just coming off that injury, that's the same injury like Zeke had last year. We just saw how it – I mean, I know Zeke's a running back and he's a tight end, but still, it just affects you. And it's not like the type of thing where like it just goes away. It just lingers, right? So with Keenan out, I'm gonna give Schultz a week. Let me see how he looks, and then I'll play him next week if he looks good. So I'll just roll with Everett this week.
I'm gonna roll with Everett too. The thing is with Schultz, he really should be a solid tight end. Give him a week. Look, I always say don't go too deep into the whole Twitter thing as far as injury analysis. These Twitter doctors, the guys who are so quick to diagnose everyone, and after watching a replay, there's one guy I read and I kind of trust, Deepak Chona. He works with Fantasy Pros. He doesn't give reactions to things as soon as they're on film. He gives analysis after the fact, like days after and days before, and about long-term prognosis. So he said with Schultz injury, the PCL, it's like a 1 to 2 week thing before they get full, closer to 100%, which means he'll play this week and he can play, but he's not going to be full go in terms of effectiveness. So just give him a week, right? Just give him a week. All right, Rizzy. Javante for Pittman.
And
okay.
your league vetoed that? That is what? I don't understand. That's like one team needs a running back, one team needs a wide receiver. They made a trade. How do you veto that? Like, man, it should never. Totally fair trade should never have been vetoed. No way. Terrible veto.
All right.
Terrible veto.
Get on my little stump here. If you're in a league that they're veto, where first of all it has vetoes, and then vetoing stuff like that, get out. Just get out and just say, look, this is BS. We shouldn't have vetoes. And if this kind of deal can't go through, then it's either the commissioners trying to like flex, right? Like flex control, or it's somebody's in his ear saying they don't want your team to improve or whatever.
Yeah.
Just don't deal with it.
If this trade can't go through, there shouldn't even be trades. Like, there should not be trades, should not be allowed, because what's going to be a fair trade? Like, what if this isn't a fair trade, what's a fair trade? This is like as fair as it gets.
Like, ask them to explain straight up, why would this be? What is not fair about it? Ask for an explanation and see what comes out. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
All right, Toby. Juju, A-Rob, Josh Reynolds, Richie James.
Oh, man. Our first Richie James question.
The number one receiver for the Giants.
Look, I know we're like talking about Josh Reynolds because he's the number one receiver for the Lions. But Jared Goff is a better quarterback than Daniel Jones, honestly. And like, I'm not playing Richie James. I'm sorry, I'm just not doing it. I'm gonna go Reynolds and Juju here. I can't play Richie James. I can't do it.
Yeah, I mean, James is fine if you really don't have a better option, but I'd still go Reynolds, and Juju should be okay. So yeah. Hector wants to know. He says he gave away Chase and Goddard to get Lamar and Wilson.
I know. Okay, I know Lamar has been incredible, but I can't ever. It's really hard for me to give up like a really good player like Chase, who I know hasn't been really good this year. But come on, just to get like a stud QB, because like Lamar's not going to go 40 every week, right? He's going to come back down to earth here. He just is. I mean, to answer your second question, you can easily drop Wentz, but I mean, maybe this is super flex because you have Stafford and Wentz. Maybe it's super flex because then in that case, maybe I feel better about it if it's super flex, where it's like, okay, you're starting Lamar and Stafford. Maybe I feel a little bit better about it. But if it's a one QB league, I don't like this for you. I don't.
Yeah, and like I don't know who you have at tight end. You gave away Goddard. Do you have someone better than him already at tight end? I mean, I don't see how. And I kind of feel like I worry that I feel like you're chasing points from the first 3 weeks. Like Lamar's been amazing. Garrett Wilson had those first couple of weeks. It's not necessarily going to continue for Wilson. He'll be solid, and then you're saying, "Oh, I traded away Chase because he's been disappointing." So you might regret this. I know you're not going to regret having Lamar, but you have Stafford. Stafford's at least startable, right? Like you didn't need to upgrade a quarterback desperately. So don't love this trade, but who to drop? I mean, obviously I'd drop Wentz. Not a super chat, but you did get my attention. Good work with the frogs. Sway Poppy, love the name too. Should I trade Amari for Debo to get Debo?
I still want Debo. I'm trusting Debo more long term. I know Amari is a great, and I think I'll have another great game this week. But I still trust Debo long term.
Yeah, I would definitely try to get Debo. If you can get Debo for Amari, that's a good deal for you.
Yeah.
All right. Ronnie Santana. Sit 2. Devontae Smith, Jerry Jeudy, Metcalf, Palmer, or Burke.
I assume Burks. I'm gonna sit Jeudy and Burks. Those are the two I'm sitting this week.
Definitely sit Burks. You're gonna sit Jeudy instead of Palmer.
Man, I mean,
it's close.
It is close, but Palmer, at least I know Palmer is getting targets when he's out there, and he's getting red zone targets. Like, I mean, I know Jeudy missed a lot of last week, so you got to take that. But week 2, it wasn't like like Sutton was the guy in week 2. So I'm gonna sit Jeudy and Burks. Maybe I'll regret it. Maybe Jeudy will be better than Palmer, but those are 2 I'm sitting.
Yeah, that's the only question for me. I mean, Devontae Smith, you went in there. I think Metcalf, you can start. Burks, until further notice, sit. I mean, they both have good matchups, right? Palmer against Houston. Keenan is still out. Judy's got the Raiders. I just feel like we keep saying this, right? I feel like Broncos come alive finally on offense this week. Maybe this is the week. Judy has been inconsistent. I think I might still go Judy over Palmer. It is close, though. It is close. So I guess decide who you trust more, me or Chris. And then on defense, Panthers, Chargers, or Colts?
I think
So the Panthers defense is like okay. I don't know that I would go with Panthers. They get Arizona, which I know
hasn't been
Kyler
like
Murray gets sacks, but I don't know that I would go with the Panthers over those two. Chargers looked horrible on defense, and they don't have Joey Bosa, but they get Houston.
I know they get Houston.
And then the Colts, who have been without their best player, their best linebacker, Shaq Leonard. But they, by the way, do we know, is he playing this week? I
haven't heard an update. I don't know. Hopefully.
I don't think they get Tennessee. It's like,
I'll probably still go Chargers because of Davis Mills.
Yeah. And even though I hate that they don't have Bosa, but I feel like they've got to be better. I feel like the matchup is still good. They do get J.C. Jackson back, right?
Right. So maybe they get a couple turnovers off of Mills, and they could probably still sack him once or twice.
It looks like Leonard actually is maybe going to play, but I don't care. I would go.
It's been like that. It's weird. He's been like, he'll like practice all week and then not play. It's been kind of weird. I don't know what's going on.
I don't know. All right, Giants in fantasy. He traded A.J. Brown, Nick Chubb, and Chris Olave for Mike Evans. Jonathan
Oh yeah, you won. You won.
Wait. You got five
as
players?
As soon as I saw Evans and JT, you won. I didn't even need the rest. You won. You won that trade.
But then he also got George Kittle and Chris Scott. He got 5 players. Is that right?
What? Oh, I mean, okay. If I would legit trade AJ Brown, Nick Chubb, and Olave just to get Evans and JT. If I could also get Breece Hall, Chris Godwin, and George Kittle,
that should have been almost vetoed because that's like robbery.
This trade. Like, I would never veto a trade, but this trade makes more sense than the one we saw. But you definitely won that trade. Very good job. Very good job. Very good job. I don't know if Evans is an upgrade over A.J. Brown, but they're probably comparable. You definitely got to upgrade at running back. Sorry, Nick Chubb, truthers. And then you also got potentially a guy we think is going to be awesome second half. I thought we both like Olave too. But then you got Godwin and Kittle too. Like, you definitely won.
I was gonna say, so this guy, whoever you traded with, he just like, you can have Kittle too. Like, I don't care. Let's just throw him.
He's got like Andrews or Kelsey, apparently. I don't know.
All right, good job. That's how you sell high on Nick Chubb. All right, so PPR, this one's a little tougher. Everett or Njoku?
All right, so I'll say in a league I'm in with a friend of mine, we kind of co-managed it. We dropped Everett for Njoku. Njoku was a guy we picked up before week 1. We liked Njoku a lot. I think he let us down. We grabbed Everett. We rolled with him. But after last week, I feel better about Njoku, not only this week, but going forward. So we dropped Everett to get Njoku because we feel like Njoku could be more like an every week start. So there you go. Put my money.
Njoku for me, pretty close, but Njoku. And then flex Hall, Hunt, or Ayuk. It's got to be Hunt.
Yeah, it's got to be Hunt. I think we had a question similar to that, but yeah, it's got to be Hunt.
Yeah, Hunt. Look, Hall's not a bad pick, but Hunt should have a big game, so good luck there. Matthew Snyder, also loyal viewer, appreciate your question. Half PPR, pick 2 wide receivers and a flex. So here we go again with Judy, Palmer, Ayuk, McLaurin, Garrett Wilson, Josh Jacobs, Damian Harris. I think we can probably agree that you're not going to flex either of those running backs, right?
No, and McLaurin is the one I feel the best about, so he's in. So now we need a wide receiver and a flex.
Well,
I mean, maybe I'm
I know
too
in the
low
previous
on Judy.
question we were between Judy and Palmer. I gave the edge to Judy, so I'll still say Judy again, right? So I would say McLaurin, yes. Judy, yes. And then I don't know what to make of Garrett Wilson with Zach Wilson back. I don't know.
I mean, I totally get that. I'm still trusting him. I'm going to trust the talent. Maybe I'm too low on Judy. Maybe I'm just too low on Judy. Maybe next week I'll be all over. But I'm going to say Palmer, McLaurin, and Wilson. That's going to be my 3. But I'm okay if you want to go Judy. Like, I'm okay with that too.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not giving up on Garrett Wilson. Don't get me wrong. But I go McLaurin, I go Judy, and I would go Palmer. And again, we don't hate Brandon Ayuk. Okay, we don't.
Yes.
We just don't love him. All right, Luis Rodriguez need to start flex position.
Oh,
Mark Cooper or
okay.
Kirk.
All right.
This is
Thank
interesting.
goodness. Thank goodness. This is one time I'm happy it's standard because I was going to be like, this is going to be a brutal decision for me. But since it's standard, I'm going to go Herbert because, look, I like Cooper this week. I think he have a big game. But Herbert has I'm not going to say an easy path because it's not easy, but he has a clear path to 100-plus yards and a touchdown in this game. Cooper, he could definitely go for 100 and a touchdown, but that's a big ask for a wide receiver, right? Whereas a running back like Herbert, I think he can get it, especially against his Giants run defense isn't very good. I'm going to go Herbert because it's standard.
I mean, like stuff because Cooper has done that, right? The last 2 weeks we've seen he's got 100
Cooper
yards.
too,
He's had big games. If it's PPR, it has to be Cooper, but I will agree because what happened last week with Herbert, he had 157 yards in a touchdown, and he's got the backfield to himself. It's a good matchup for Cooper. I hate to sit Cooper, but yeah, this week I'd say go Herbert. Just go with the upside there. All right, Brooklyn Mills traded Devontae Adams, Brady, and Najee for Mahomes, Saquon, and Olave.
I don't think so. This is another one I'm going to say I don't think so just because, I mean, at this point, I'd probably take Saquon over Najee because Saquon looks just awesome and he's doing everything you want to see in an elite fantasy running back, right? He looks awesome. He's breaking off big runs. He's catching passes. He's scoring touchdowns. He's doing everything you want to see in an elite running back. And yeah, Mahomes is an upgrade over Brady, but I still think Brady will be okay. And it's not like Mahomes is breaking fantasy like Lamar Jackson or Jalen Hurts or something. The problem for me with this trade is even though I like Olave and I think Olave is going to be good, that's the big downgrade here is you're going from a top 10, maybe even a top 5 wide receiver to maybe like a top 20 type wide receiver. So that's the part I don't like is that Olave from Adams. I think that's the part that I don't want to say lost it for you, but made it where I like the other side better.
This one's tough because, look, at this point, I think Saquon and Najee are pretty comparable in terms of what we expect. Like I said, I might have Saquon over Najee rest of the season, but it's not a huge gap because we still think Najee is going to be a top 10 running back. Mahomes over Brady, definitely an upgrade. Down on Brady this year. We've already seen he's been, for fantasy, not very good. But yeah, that's too big a difference there. Devontae Adams is still one of the best receivers in the league. He'll be one of the best for fantasy. Olave looks like he could be great, but you're going to get some booms and you're going to get some busts. So I wouldn't say this was a win or a loss, really. I think you did upgrade at quarterback and downgrade at receiver. It kind of depends on the rest of your roster. I mean, the thing is, unless you were crazy deep at receiver, I'd probably say it wasn't a clear win. It's close, though. I'd say it's pretty close. All right, Rob is wondering, saying we got him to the fantasy playoffs last season. All right, well, let's do better this year. Let's win that Super Bowl, right? Okay, starting lineup. He's got Mariota and Rodgers, Kamara Hunt, A.J. Brown, Mike Will, Kelsey, Tyreek, trade or ride. Okay, so he wants to know what to do with this roster. What do you do? I mean, what can you really do at quarterback?
Nothing you can really do at quarterback. I don't really know what you could do. I mean, maybe you could try to trade Kamara, but you need a running back in return. That's the problem, right? Because you only have Kamara and Hunt. So you need a running back. And it's not like Kamara, like the running backs you want to get, people aren't going to give you those guys for Kamara right now. Yeah, I think you just ride with this for right now. Maybe hope Kamara has a big game, looks pretty good with Dalton. Maybe Dalton dumps it off like 5 or 6 times to him, and then you can flip him for a better running back. But I think you got to ride with this team.
Yeah, I'd like to get a more solid quarterback there. Don't love Rodgers' upside this year, but chances of getting an elite quarterback are very slim, right?
Yeah.
And then same thing, this is the worst time to trade Kamara. So you're going to have to ride it out for at least a couple of weeks. You're set at wide receiver, obviously.
The thing that makes quarterback tough right now is it feels like we have like 3 or 4 really good guys and then just everybody else. Like there's a really upper tier and then there's just another tier of everybody else, right? Like the Joe Burrows, the Matt Staffords, the Brady's. They're just none of them have been like Kyler Murray's. None of them have been great. So and you're not going to get one of these guys because if you have one of these guys, like I have one of those guys and nobody else does. So
yeah. You'd have to give up way too much. It's not worth it. So that's the thing is we're really seeing it used to be like you can just wait on a quarterback, right? Late round quarterback, just wait and get a guy. And now we're seeing that that's not paying off, right? But so that's the thing is I don't really see now. I don't know who on your bench you could trade. You might need to throw out somebody there, but for now, probably hold tight. If you want to throw out there in the Discord your whole roster, throw some ideas out. We can help you there. All right, just so you know, we got about a half hour left, guys. Still getting to the super chats. We're catching up slowly but surely. But also, PSA here. Don't forget to like this video and join the Discord.
Thank you, Bus. What's up, Bus?
You know, for a Jets fan, not a bad guy. All right, CAS. Wentz or Goff, Dylan or Gabe?
Oh,
you got to go Wentz, right?
I guess. I mean, only because Goff doesn't have anybody to throw to, but he's got such a bet. Like, we saw the real Carson Wentz last year against a real defense. I mean, last week against a real defense. It's not pretty. Yeah, I guess Wentz. At least he has weapons, and I'm gonna go AJ Dillon only again because this is a spot where I would easily say Gabe Davis going against the Ravens, but I'm just so worried about that ankle. He didn't look good last week as far as like health. So I think I gotta go Wentz and Dillon.
I'm definitely going Wentz. And would like to say it should be Gabe, but yeah, I definitely don't think he's 100%. So I'm not risking it. I'm gonna go Dillon. All right. So Philip M wants to know thoughts on this roster. Long run, half PPR. Got Herbert, good. Got Adams, Judy, Curtis Samuel, Devontae Smith, Gallup, pretty good. Najee, Brees. Sounds very much like an endgame team, right?
Yeah, it does.
What about your guys, Chris?
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
And you got Higbee and Schultz at tight end. Like, this team looks good to me. This team looks really good to me. Maybe wide receiver a little weak. But if Judy does what we expect him to do, or if Gallup can get back healthy, then you're going to be fine at wide receiver. Yeah, I don't really see a lot you can do here. Like, this team looks really good to me. I think just keep riding with this team. You should be feeling good if you have this team. Very good.
Yeah, this is really solid. I mean, look, at quarterback, obviously you're set. You have one of those elite guys. Hey, you've been going with Higbee, at least since you picked him up, probably. You go with Higbee another week or two, and then you should be good with Schultz the rest of the season. So you don't need to make a move there. At running back, I mean, look, if Brees Hall does what we think, and even so, you can just start Hunt. In the meanwhile, you're starting Herbert this week, so you're set at running back pretty much. And then, look, Adams is no doubt wide receiver 1. Devontae Smith looks like he's a legit wide receiver 2. Judy's your third guy. You're fine there with Samuel. I wouldn't shake things up here. I think you are an excellent contender. All right, Joe, back for more. Wants to know, follow-up question, Lenny, Herbert, Hunt or Stevenson in the flex?
Yeah, Hunt in the flex. Can't bench Lenny, can't bench Herbert. Hunt in the flex.
Yeah, we both like Hunt a lot this week. I think Stevenson will get the touches, but it's not a super good matchup for him. He'll be okay, but really like Hunt. So, yeah, we're going to go with Hunt for this one. All right, let's keep going. Brooklyn once again says he has Jake Jettos.
Jefferson. That's
Jefferson.
Which is good.
That's good. That's a good thing.
Good.
I have to go back to your question, Brooklyn. I know you just asked it. And I don't know if I'm going to go back there. Look, guys, just so you know, don't do anything with Justin Jefferson. Don't trade him.
Yeah, don't do anything crazy. He's fine. He's fine.
All right, Dobbs or Palmer?
I think I got Palmer a little bit above him, just because of the matchup and just because no Keenan Allen. We know the targets will be there, so I got Palmer a little bit above.
Same here. Palmer just a little bit above. Look, maybe Dobbs goes off. I'm not feeling it in this game, but yeah, Dobbs is a good hold for now. All right, Kelsey for Jefferson.
Wait, are you getting Jefferson? Like I know it's not fun to trade Kelsey or Andrews, but if I'm getting Jefferson and giving up Kelsey, I will gladly trade Kelsey and just stream tight end. Like go grab Njoku or Conklin if they're out there or something like that. But yes, I will take Jefferson.
Yeah, I look, this is one thing. We're not stuck on where you drafted him, right? Like it doesn't matter at this point. But you drafted Justin Jefferson as the number 1 receiver, or maybe number 2 receiver, top 3 pick for a reason. Let's not just assume that it's changed after 3 weeks. And like Kelsey is actually not even the tight end 1 now. He's still the tight end 2 behind Mark Andrews, but still, the drop off is still not as great at tight end as it would be for Jefferson and whoever else would take his place at receiver. Yeah. If you can get Jefferson, I would do that. Trade Devontae Smith for the Sun God. That's interesting.
Who do we like better rest of the season?
I would.
Go ahead.
I would do that. I mean, Sun God is the number 1 guy for Detroit.
Yeah, that's what I was
Devontae Smith's still going to be sharing targets with AJ Brown. So, like I said, he's a solid locked-in wide receiver 2, but we have to admit, St. Brown is now a wide receiver 1.
Yeah, I think just for the reasons you said, because he's the number 1, he's got that connection with Goff. We know he's going to get the bulk of the targets. You got to prefer Sun God there. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, assuming this is full PPR or at least half PPR. If it's not, that might change things, but I'm going to assume. All right, Johnny, always with us. Appreciate the super chat. Pick 1 flex: Curtis Samuel, Herbert, or Olave.
I'm assuming Khalil Herbert, and it's Khalil Herbert for me. Even in PPR, I don't care. Like, I got to find a reason not to have Khalil Herbert in my lineup this week.
Yeah, Samuel's always going to be one of those guys that you could flex, but only if you don't have a better option. Herbert, yeah, the upside is too massive. Maybe he doesn't have a good game, but find out. Find out. Put him in your lineup and find out. Olave is just, there's a lot of risk there now. Like if Winston was, all right, hypothetical, I'm just going to throw this out there. If Winston was 100% healthy, good to go, would you still put Herbert over Olave?
I think I still got to go Herbert. I mean, it's a great matchup. The Giants' run defense not very good. The Bears only want to run the ball. Like, I still probably have to go Herbert. It's closer, but I still have to go Herbert.
Yeah. All right. So definitely go Herbert, Johnny. Jared, once again, he wants to know now. Okay, so here's his team. Any moves here? Got Mariota with Deshaun lurking. Mixon, Fournette, Hunt. You're pretty solid there. Stevenson, Pittman, MT, Gabe. I can see. Well, no, we got McLaurin and Bateman and Juju. And then Higbee.
Yeah, this team, another team where I'd like, you have good wide receiver depth. I mean, I really like Pittman. I think Pittman's going to be, I think people are still sleeping on him because he missed week 2, but the guy has like 40 fantasy points with 1 touchdown in 2 games. Like, Pittman is awesome, but you don't really have like a number 2 behind him that I feel like I like these guys, but there's nobody behind him that I love. So maybe if you could package like a Stevenson and a McLaurin, or a Stevenson and a Gabe Davis, or even a Stevenson and a Bateman, somebody like that, and maybe go get Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase is a great buy low right now. People are freaked out. People think T. Higgins is like, oh my God, Jamar Chase, he's not going to be good with T. Higgins. T. Higgins is number 1. Go put Stevenson and like McLaurin, or Stevenson and Bateman, or Stevenson and Davis together and go get Jamar Chase.
I wish if Thomas wasn't hurt, you would have been a good time to trade Michael Thomas before this week, but you never know. Maybe somebody doesn't care that he's out this week and he's injured again. Or maybe someone doesn't realize Gabe Davis is still hurt. So, yeah, one of those guys. What do you think? Do you think you could get by with like Hunt/Stevenson as your RB2 and throw out Fournette plus one of those receivers, like a lower-end receiver, to get a guy like a Jamar Chase?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's too much. But I would do it.
I think if you could trade Fournette plus a Michael Thomas or McLaurin to get like a Jamar Chase or a stud receiver like that, or an AJ Brown, plus a running back with some upside.
Yeah,
Like
so
a Bilo,
that's the
like a
thing.
Rashad Penny, or maybe someone is
Maybe
not sold on Brees Hall, or somebody who could really help you the second half of the season.
Yeah.
That might be worth exploring also. All right, but that's a solid team. I mean, you're solid there, except I guess you can get by with Mariota until Deshaun Watson comes back. Don't love that, but it is what it is. You're not going to get a high-end quarterback from trade.
Yeah, you're not.
All right, Derek wants to know full PPR, 2 flex spots: Penny, Dillon, Pollard, Ayuk, Gage, Judy. Pick 2. All right, so let's do that first.
Well, Penny for sure for me.
Mm-hmm. Full PPR.
Yeah.
How do you feel about Gage? We only talked a little bit about Gage. I mean, got a ton of targets last week, but Mike Evans is back this week. The fact that it's in Kansas City, you think that makes it a shootout? And
yeah, I mean, it could be, but Godwin might also be back, which could limit him. I mean, if Godwin is out, I like Gage more. I'm kind of leaning Penny and Judy here. But I'm also kind of feeling Pollard against the Commanders.
I mean, all these guys, you're really, at this point, these are your flexes, right? You're shooting for upside. We know Penny has that upside. I like him this week. Go with him. I'm going to say no to Dillon just because compared to those other guys.
Yeah.
Ayuk, of course, we hate with a passion. Gage, I like Judy better than Gage. So maybe Pollard. I'm going Penny Judy.
Yeah, that was my first instinct was Penny Judy, so that's what I'll go to.
Let's make life easier when we agree, right?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Pick 2 in the other league, full PPR. You got Curtis Samuel, Brandon Cooks, Hunt, Ayuk, and Gabe. But pick 1.
Okay, well, definitely Hunt for me if we're picking 1. Definitely.
Yeah, I think got to be Hunt. We're been talking up Hunt all week. Going to stick with that. So good. There's definitely risk with all those other guys. So good luck there. All right, Steven, with another question. Josh Allen for Kupp and Mahomes?
I mean, if you're getting Kupp and Mahomes, you have Kupp and Mahomes?
Does he have Kupp and Mahomes?
No, keep Kupp and Mahomes. Keep Kupp and Mahomes. Mahomes will be fine, and Kupp is awesome. Don't do that. Don't do that.
No.
Don't do that.
Definitely keep Kupp and Mahomes.
Yeah.
All right, Johnny, Aaron Jones or Pierce, and then Muth or Njoku.
I can easily go Pierce here, getting all the touches in a good matchup. Definitely Pierce for me.
Yep.
I
feel like we had this question earlier. Didn't we have this question? Like the very, very beginning, I think someone asked.
I'm trying to think because in that league where I have Njoku, I'm trying to think if Freiermuth was on waivers, would I pick him up and play him over Njoku this week? And I don't know if I would. It's close, but I don't know. It's just such a good matchup for the Browns.
It's tempting because it's the Jets, right?
Yeah, true. But
Njoku.
It's also the Falcons.
Right.
I think I go Njoku slightly.
Yeah, I'm going to go Njoku. So Pierce, Njoku. All right, Joseph Delgado wants to know Josh Reynolds, Miles Sanders, Zay Jones was questionable, but it sounds like he's going to go. So
our first Zay Jones question. I'm still going to go Reynolds. Again, the wide receiver 1, the de facto wide receiver 1 against the Seahawks. I just like that a little better. Zay Jones probably, plays more on the outside. I don't think Slay is going to shadow him, but he's going to see his share of Slay. I think Kirk is going to get more of the better matchups. I'm going to go Josh Reynolds.
So I was going to say Zay Jones might have a down week, even if he's fully healthy, which sounds like he is. Yeah, it could be a tough matchup for him. So go Josh Reynolds. All right, CAS once again. He says he has Swift, JT, and Henry at running back. Okay,
nice.
That's good. Should you trade Henry for Michael Pittman when I have Waddle? Okay, so let's ask that. Trade Henry.
I know I'm not as high on Henry as Pierre is, but I'm doing that trade regardless. Especially if I have JT and Swift. I don't feel like I need Derrick Henry. I mean, yeah, I need him right now. but when Swift comes back, I don't need Derrick Henry. And if I can move Derrick Henry for a guy who I think is going to be easily a top 10 PPR wide receiver this year, if not better, I'm doing that. So yes, I'm doing that trade.
If it's for a guy like Pittman, yes, I would do it because obviously you don't need Henry. Now, of course, I'm assuming that if you do that with Swift out, you got somebody to fill the void. I mean, obviously you're going to have somebody to plug in there. Hopefully you got Jamal Williams. Yeah, if it's a guy like Pittman or an AJ Brown or like Jamar Chase or something like that, yeah, I can see that. Because even though I feel like Henry's a must start every week, I might have to admit he's not necessarily going to be a league winner like last year. So, but you never know.
You never know. Still early.
Jay, get this work. Hashtag one muscle. Herbert, Austin Eckler, James Robinson, Devontae Adams. I thought it was Richie James at first. Lamb, Kelsey, Swift, Amon on bench.
Jeez.
I'd be getting for Jet. Is that another thing? Jettas? What is Jettas?
That's just like yes. You're taking. I don't even care what your team is. If I can get Jefferson for Kelsey, I'm doing it every chance. And like now you're gonna have Adams, Lamb, and Jefferson. Like I'm doing that for sure.
Yeah, I would do that. And then also Hawkinson for Dotson. What do you think about that?
Well, since you're trading Kelsey, you kind of need Hawkinson now. So, and you don't really need Dotson anymore because you have 3 insane wide receivers. So I'm assuming if you're going to give up Dotson to get Hawkinson, I would do it because you need a tight end now. If you're giving up Hawkinson to get Dotson, I don't do that.
Yeah,
actually, you have 4 insane wide receivers because you have Amon-Ra out this week. So yeah.
Yeah, I think Dotson's tradable for a guy that you would start pretty much every week. And if you're trading Kelsey away, get Hawkinson. Agree with that. All right. Dales, thoughts on Olave and the UQB change? We've talked about him a lot throughout the couple of hours, so let's recap.
Yeah, I mean, risky, of course, with Dalton, not the best, but no Michael Thomas, a banged-up Jarvis Landry. He should get a bunch of targets. Obviously, not as high on him as I was if Jameis was playing, but still feel pretty good about him. The Vikings secondary, nothing scary at all. So solid, but probably doesn't have the upside he had if Jameis was healthy.
Yeah, you really kind of have to view him as a risky flex play this week. I mean, really should be a solid starter, but can we really say that with Andy Dalton? No. And look, there's 2 ways to look at it. When so many players are banged up and out, you can say, well, this one player is going to, go off, or the whole offense could just stall, right? It could just be a bad week. So I feel really good about him getting double-digit targets. I don't necessarily feel good about him getting double-digit receptions. So I think he's startable, but only if your other options aren't great. And then Steven, once again, he wants to know Burrow for Fournette and CeeDee Lamb or Christian Kirk.
So he has Burrow, and I'm going to say, I don't care if it's Lamb. I don't care if it's Kirk. I don't care if it's Lamb and Kirk. I don't care if it's Fournette. I don't care what the combination of these 3 guys is. If you're getting any 2 of these guys and you're giving away Burrow and you have Mahomes, you do that like right now. Like don't even wait for us.
Burrow's his backup. How's Burrow your backup?
Yeah.
Okay.
You absolutely do that.
Do that. Yeah. All right. See you later, Steven. Make that trade.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Congratulations. League winning trade right there.
All right. DeRay Woods, Breece Hall,
Kirk
Cameron, or Juju. Here's a tough one.
This is a tough one. I know I talked about Juju having a potentially good matchup against Zone, but I still don't love Juju. Call me crazy, but I think we see even more Breece Hall this week. I'm going Breece Hall out of this group.
Yeah, like this one is really close. And again, we're going to assume it's PPR. I mean, if it was non-PPR, I think it would be more easily Breece, but still he's catching passes. Yeah, like you said with Juju, he has some upside, but I don't love him either. He's going to be just kind of boom or bust. And then Samuel is – I almost want to say Samuel, but –
yeah, those are the 2 I was deciding. It was close between those 2, but I don't know. Yeah. Maybe it's my Breece Hall
No, but
bias.
you're a Curtis Samuel guy too. So these are both your
True,
guys.
true.
All right, I'm gonna go Brees Hall also. I think more upside. Roy Millen in standard, Ayuk and Joku or McKenzie.
All right, this time I'm going to say Ayuk because it's standard. So just so you all know, we don't hate Ayuk because McKenzie's a guy like he's not going to rack up tons of yards. I mean, yes, he scored last week, but he's not necessarily a red zone guy. Sure, Njoku could score, but he's a tight end. I'm going to go Ayuk. In standard scoring, I'm going Ayuk.
If this was PPR, it's McKenzie, but in standard, I agree. I'll go Ayuk. Derek Just again. Mariota or Cousins?
Well, I'm going to go Mariota not just because of the stack, but because I like this matchup a lot now. No Myles Garrett, no Jadeveon Clowney. We know he can run. Cousins has a tough matchup against the Saints. I like Mariota better this week.
I'll agree. Like Mariota, Cousins is kind of underwhelmed. Now he gets a tougher matchup. Could be a low-scoring game there in London, so I'll go Mariota. Hope for the best. Bear Camp, cabin rentals. That sounds interesting. That's up your alley.
Is that Big Bear, by the way? Because if it is, I might want to talk to you. So if it's Big Bear, drop a comment and let me know, and then maybe we can maybe you can hop in the Discord and I can hit you up because we do go to Big Bear like every Christmas. So
there you go.
But anyways,
never know. All right, so Bear Camp needs to know Mac Hollins, Alan Lazard, Josh Palmer, Dobbs, or McKenzie. I'm guessing we're picking one, assuming it's PPR.
These are all like the
last week wonders.
Except for Lazard, these are all the like because of injuries. I'm considering these guys, right?
Like the waiver wire all stars from the first 3 weeks.
Yeah, pretty much. I think I go McKenzie out of this group, assuming it's PPR. Because again, I don't think Davis can be 100% going against that Baltimore secondary. If it's PPR, I'm going McKenzie.
It's tempting to go Palmer, but again, Gabe Davis not 100%. That matchup. I mean, I feel really good about McKenzie this week, so I will go McKenzie with Palmer as a second choice there. So that's where I'm going. Bear Camp, hit Chris up. Know where you're at.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we got exactly 5 minutes left. Go ahead.
I was going to say, if you're in Big Bear, California, let me know.
All right, there you go. 5 minutes left, and I think we're good on the Super Chats. Look at that. Talk about timing. So we're going to do lightning round to get to as many questions as we can. If you do drop a Super Chat in the next 5 minutes, we will get to it, of course. Chris, you want to throw up any questions about guys maybe we haven't talked about?
Yeah. Okay. Well, here's one. We've talked about these guys, but not these two against each other. So do we like Curtis Samuel or Garrett Wilson better this week?
Maybe I'm too skeptical of the whole Zach Wilson thing. I go Curtis Samuel. You know his touches are solid. I'm going to go Samuel.
I mean, yeah, probably don't risk it. I still like Garrett Wilson, though. Maybe I'm too high on him, but if you want to go safer, yeah, Curtis Samuel.
All right. Did just get a Super Chat from Steven Franco. Thank you. All right. So full PPR, here's the team. Got Hurts, Cook, Dillon, Mike Williams, Lamb, Andrews, Bateman, Rob, A-Rob, McKenzie, Richie James, Dotson, Pickens, Stevenson, Khalil Herbert, and Brian Robinson on IR. What do you do?
This is a team that needs running back help.
Yeah, I'd say upgrade your RB1.
So,
but can you really move Cook right now?
That's the thing. I'm not really sure what you could do. I mean, maybe hope Dalvin looks okay this week, and maybe package him with a guy like McKenzie if McKenzie has a good game. This is the kind of moves I like to make. I like to make take a pretty good like running back and a okay wide receiver who may be overvalued at the moment, and then turn him into like a really good running back, or vice versa. Because the person on the other side feels like, well, I can give up Saquon. I'm just throwing out a name, or I can give up Jonathan Taylor because I'm getting Dalvin Cook, and I also get McKenzie. This is great, right? Like that's how people think, or at least that's from my experience. That's kind of how people think. So I'd be looking like Cook has a nice game this week. Maybe package him with one of the wide receivers who has a nice game, not Lamb, not like your stud, but like one of the other guys, and see if you can get actual stud running back. This team needs stud running back. in my opinion.
And you know what I would say? If Khalil Herbert does go off this week, I trade him because Montgomery's coming back. And in a week or two, Khalil Herbert will never have a higher value. He won't. Unless Montgomery is out for the season, he's not. Like, it wasn't even that serious an injury. So I take advantage of that, and I would package Herbert, with somebody.
This is the time to trade Herbert. Always good to trade those, like, backup running backs who come in because of injury. All right, Paul asking, Stevenson or Michael Carter?
It's got to be Stevenson. I think Carter's giving way to Breece Hall slowly but surely, and Ramondre's kind of taking over for Damian Harris slowly but surely.
Yeah, I agree. All right, who do we like better here, Curtis Samuel or Mac Hollins?
I think I got to go with Samuel again. And look, I liked Mac Hollins better last week than I do this week. I think Hollins is fine, but don't go crazy chasing last week's points because it gets Denver this week.
I agree. Got to go Samuel there. Again, try to find questions about guys we haven't asked about or maybe like combos we haven't talked about, because I know it's a lot of the same. Like, I'm seeing a lot of Greg George, a lot of Josh Reynolds. Yes, thank you. Hit the like button, definitely. Okay, this isn't a start sit, but this is probably something we should talk about. Do we have any concerns about Hollywood Brown this week? Because it was all of a sudden, like on Friday, like he wasn't on the injury report all week. Then Friday, he had a limited practice with a foot injury. Are we worried?
But I mentioned this earlier. He's a guy who seems to always pop up on the injury report, but not really miss too much time. I mean, not that he's never missed a game, but still. I mean, last year, 16 games. Year before that, 16 games. So many targets are in store for him if he's playing. So I feel like I'm not worried. I don't think it's anything serious. I haven't heard anything about him possibly missing. Limited practice doesn't mean too much for me. So I'm not worried.
Yeah, I'm not worried unless we hear something tomorrow morning like, ooh, it's really iffy or something like that. I'm not worried. And a tight end, Goddard or Pitts?
Ooh, that's tough because, look, I still have to go Pitts because I think he's kind of back to that every week must start status. Really like Goddard, of course. It's not a bad matchup. I'm sticking with Pitts, man. He's too good.
Yeah, I still got to go Pitts as well. And then another, sorry. Put that
one. All right, we did get a super chat right here. We'll put that other one up. All right, so Toby, once again, thank you, Toby. Trade away Connor for Kelsey. Are you kidding?
If you're getting Kelsey, absolutely do that. Absolutely do that. If you're giving Kelsey for Connor, don't do it.
All right. Yeah.
I got another tight end one. Higbee or Darren Waller in full PPR?
This is closer than it should be. But with Renfrow out, I know he's disappointed. I'll still go Waller. The upside is there. I know it's not a great matchup for him, but it's not a great matchup for Higbee either, honestly. True. So I give a slight edge to Waller.
I agree.
And then we got one more super chat here from Joe Guerrero.
Oh, definitely Hunt. Definitely Hunt for me. Like, this is a week where Zeke is playable for me, but I still don't love Zeke. I really like Hunt this week.
Yeah, Zeke is playable, but we both have said this over and over again. Really like Hunt. I have him as a high-end RB2. Zeke is a little bit more on the lower end this week.
Do we like Josh? I know we're a little worried about Olave, but do we like Josh Jacobs more?
No. I don't like Josh Jacobs more than hardly anybody, honestly. Olave's got that upside. Josh Jacobs has owned that backfield as far as touches. And what has he done? Like, nothing. And they can't run, like, really commit to the run because they're always losing. And so, no. And then Josh Jacobs this week going against Denver, it's not like it's a favorable matchup either. So, no, I can't do it. My concern with Jacobs before the year was that he wouldn't get as many touches because McDaniel was going to include Zamir White and these other running backs. Now it's just that the running game isn't good. Like, that's the concern I have.
Trade, this guy asking, should he trade Zeke and Lockett for DeAndre Hopkins, who's coming back, week 7?
Yeah, a 6-game suspension back in week 7. Zeke and Lockett for D-Hop. I think it's worth a shot because, look, is Lockett a guy you're going to start week in, week out? Not really. No. Is Zeke a guy you're going to start week in and week out? Hopefully not.
Yeah, I mean, now's the time to try to trade for Hopkins. Hopefully, whoever has Hopkins in your league, struggling. Maybe they're 1-2, maybe they're 0-3, and they're like, I can't hold on to this guy. I need to win. So,
yeah, I think it's worth a shot. Take that.
I just want to throw this out here real quick. Cordero is not out for sure. More than likely, he's playing.
Yeah, nobody said he was out for sure. He's questionable, and I read that he was leaning towards in.
Yeah, he more than likely he's playing.
Yeah. All right, Joe Mazzola, Kamara, or J-Rob?
I'm going Robinson. I just don't. Yeah, I'm going Robinson.
I'm going
more
Robinson
touchdown
too.
upside.
Kamara is very iffy. That whole Saints offense is very iffy. I mean, you wish you could just roll Kamara out with no questions, but you can't. And J-Rob, at least he's getting the volume. All right, so he got back to you, Bear Camp. He says he's in Tennessee.
Okay, I mean Bear is very common for like mountains, right? So
yeah, Bears and Camps kind of go together.
We definitely have concerns about Gabe Davis. I definitely have concerns. By the way, this is like the third time he's injured this ankle in his career. So something's up with that ankle. So I definitely have concerns. I don't have concerns for Patterson. I think Patterson's going to be a full go tomorrow. It's a great spot. With Garrett and Clowney out, it's a good spot. So
yeah, there's definitely concerns about Gabe. Look, if you're asking if you had to pick between those two, I'd go Patterson for sure.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
Patterson, we did see he was kind of banged up. I think it was week 2, and then he still played, and he looked sharp. I'm not too worried about Patterson. I think he'll be fine. I think you start him. We are worried about Gabe.
All right, real quick, Craig Reynolds. We didn't get it. I will say this: I'm starting Craig Reynolds in one league over Darrell Henderson. Just don't trust Darrell Henderson's touches. The Lions now, they're just going to be a team that just runs the ball a ton. I don't think Seattle's a team that's going to force them to throw. And we saw even last year when Swift was out, Craig Reynolds gets enough run. He's got a chance to score. I think Craig Reynolds, he's not like a must start for me, but I think if you're desperate, you could do worse than Craig Reynolds.
He could score, didn't do that last year, but he got some touches. And look, if guys watched the Beat the Breakout, always talk about waiver wire pickups, but also guys to stash. Maybe you don't want to start him this week, and you could if you really need to, which I guess you do because Darrell Henderson was your other choice. But guys that might have some value that are worth picking up if they do go. What if he does have a big game this week? Everyone's going to be rushing out to pick him up. But guess what? You beat the breakout. You already have him stashed. That's what you want to do. Get ahead of the game, guys. You always have to look forward. We're not just looking at last week what happened. You got to look at what's going to happen coming ahead. All right, and then one last super chat, I believe. All right, so Stephen Franco again wants to start 2. Bateman, I guess Richie James, McKenzie, Dotson, or Pickens.
I'm going Bateman and McKenzie. Can't start Pickens yet. I'm not trusting Richie James with Daniel Jones. I'm sorry. I know he's the only guy left, but I don't care. Dotson needs touchdowns. Bateman has a ton of upside in this game, and so does McKenzie with Gabe Davis probably way less than 100%, so I'm going those 2.
I'm going those 2 again. Hope it's a high-scoring game. You got both sides there, Bateman and McKenzie. Definitely have the most upside. All right. I think are we good? We're at our stopping point.
Yeah, we're at a stopping point.
All right, guys.
Appreciate it, guys. Again, so grateful that we're able to do this. Thank you so much.
Thank you for all the questions, all the super chats. Again, if we missed your question, join us in Discord. You can ask it there. Of course, it's absolutely free. The link is below.
And easy.
And easy, like very easy. If you want to join us tomorrow morning, we're going to do this with our patrons. Patreon.com/fantasyfootballendgame. Link is also down below. We give you not just our start sit advice every Sunday morning, but a lot more. And of course, hit like, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell, all those good things. If you like what you saw, we'll be back again tomorrow night, going live to talk about what happened in week 4 on Sunday and break it down for you, get early thoughts, talk about booms, busts, injuries, and some early waiver wire talk. All right, guys. Thanks again.
See you guys.